Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do, remember this. We'll post all 3 hours both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. You don't have to miss much. You can get back, get caught up, and do so with limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great sponsor for the podcast, Carlton Dean, the fine folks at SVN. The resources, the knowledge, staff teach you about ways to make money and commercial real estate. Go to carltondean.com. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. You can find me on Twitter at @JCameronShow. WTSM app works for your mobile devices. And you can watch us. Hello, YouTubers. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. That's where you go to do that. Hey, have you didn't get fooled by the virus, the fake Google fish thing or whatever they're talking about, did you? None of that happened to you while we were away. You even know about this thing?
No.
Oh, I can save you, buddy.
You can perform the duty of ambassador to the masses.
So I would have thought you would know this before I would because you're up on these kinds of things. But apparently people are getting duped. They've been duped by this, I don't know what it's called. It's a virus. It's one of these programs where if you click on it, if it gets sent to you and they tell you to do it, and you click on it and you don't know what you're doing there, you're screwed. And you end up infecting your computer and screwing it. It's very effective. It's going across the country right now. It's a big news story, Tom.
Huh. Well,
You're gonna look it
I'm
up.
consulting right now.
Have you ever
Is
had
it an
happen?
email? I'm assuming it's an email thing.
They're saying if you get something from Google, unrecognizable, don't open it. That's right. It's
a Google Docs virus. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Google Docs
I'm going to get the
virus.
particulars on this to warn the people.
Yeah, it's a Google Docs virus. That's what it is. That's correct. It's called massive phishing worm or something. That's what that's what some people have said. It's a Google Docs phishing scam. It's spreading like crazy. They call that a phishing scam, Tom. Were you aware of that? PHISHING? That's called a phishing scam.
I'm aware of that. Yes.
I was not aware of this to start the show. I just got done reading about it, heard about it. I'm surprised I hadn't fallen victim yet to it because I just click on anything. You send me something, I'm clicking it. You could say, it could be something abhorrent. And I'll go, I'm curious about something like that. And then I click on it. You ever infected your computer?
Yeah, so here it is. Probably because these things, some of them are really well hidden in regular emails. It just depends. But this is a Google document. You know about Google Docs and the Google Drive. So,
That's right.
You could share a Word document and share it with 3 or 4 people, and you can either look at it together or work on it separately and revise it so everybody has it in the cloud together. So if somebody is sharing Google documents with you regularly and you see some today, double check them before you click on them.
Okay, so I was about to ask you something here.
Because it could be somebody you know or somebody you don't know.
So that's how they do it, right? They have it sent. They have it disguised as it's sent to you by somebody you know, somebody you trust, right? Usually, like they take over somebody's in.
Oh, buddy, yeah.
Listen, because here's the deal: isn't the easy way to avoid all of this is just don't click on things you don't recognize?
Exactly. Yes, that's very easy. But also, if it's somebody that you know, but they wouldn't be sending you a Google Doc, you might want to just text them first and say, "Hey, did you send me something?"
Hey, Jerry, you send this to Google Doc over here?
Why would you send me a Google Doc?
Yeah.
Is it Is it your last will and testament? What's going on here?
All right. So don't open Google Docs.
Yeah, man. No,
Ever again.
We've had a problem here where I've gotten junk email from somebody that had our email domain account. That is to say, it was like jerry@979espnradio.com.
What's the point of this? Seriously, why does somebody do it?
Chaos.
So that's what it is? It's just an anarchist out there? What I'm saying is, why would somebody take the time? Like, are they garnering something? Do they get money? Do they get access to your account? What do they get? What's the point? I did not mean to start the show this way, folks, but I am kind of curious about this.
It appears in this case, and I'm only going off of one source here if we're going to try to be a journalist, since there's no one left in the world that cares about journalism. The idea is that they get access to your Google account, which is access to your life these days. So if you have access to somebody's Google, I mean, Google could kill us all. right now if they wanted to, because they have just about between them and Apple.
Or Facebook, yeah.
I saw a tweet today from a sports business person that said that Apple could buy every NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLB
and have
team
tons of money left over.
$100 billion left over.
That's
to
right.
spare.
So all the rights fees that Apple would have to spend to carry the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, all the stuff we've been talking about with ESPN, Apple could do rather easily, and it wouldn't be a problem in any way, shape, or form, and they'd have a ton of more money to do other things with.
Yes,
That's
and
remarkable,
they also
by the way.
hold all the strings to your life too.
Well, once you've, if you've eye connected, if you will, it is, it's infinitely convenient. Once you've done it, it's like, everything's...
You're trading convenience for the fact that,
Without
yes,
question.
they could at any
Well,
point.
at some point along the way, you decided, I think, we all did, that the fighting of the good fight and the privacy you so desperately seek is gone.
Yeah, the first time that a website asked me to log in with a new credential and says, hey, you want to sign up? Or you can log in through Facebook. Screw it. I don't know who's got time for this signing up nonsense with the confirmation emails. Let's just log in with Facebook.
Once you do it, obviously they have access to everything. We know this. I mean, this is all now fairly understood. So your privacy, you gave it up a long time ago. There are those who obviously work to great lengths to try to keep that. But they live in Idaho, and they hate the government. That's fine. I'm just saying, once you decide to go with it, you really don't worry about your privacy in that regard, online privacy. You don't really worry about it anymore.
Two crazy examples. I still have Pandora. I guess that makes me a fossil with the younger millennials.
Pandora's awesome.
I love Pandora.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody's got Spotify now.
I have both, but they're not the same.
Well, I love Pandora.
I do too.
Because I've been building that station since like 2008, 2009. But I searched it. My sister suggested I search a different band that is in the genre I like. So I looked them up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it, they were suggested on my Pandora station with that very song the next day.
It's crazy.
And there's no way,
that's
but
creepy.
it's so obscure, that band is. I mean, it has
There's
maybe
no way they would have
2,000
randomly
YouTube views.
Right.
How would that appear on my Pandora feed? It's because, they have access to
It was
everything
your
that they need
sister's
to know.
neighbor, Keith, and all of a
Right.
sudden he was on your Pandora, and you thought,
Or-
how is that possible?
Okay, on Twitter, you get the little promotions promoted and like for you. I've never once, prior to this happening, tweeted about Scotch. Never about Scotch. But I had direct message about Scotch trading info with some
It knew
friends
your
of mine.
direct damn message,
The next time I went on Twitter,
Boom.
Lafroig was telling me about their new quarter cask.
and it pissed you off.
So, oh, okay.
It's-
I see you, Twitter.
Oh, but they got you. There's no doubt. Hey, listen, I've thought things before and then pulled up Google and then voila! Like, why is there a... I can't even go with the joke. It was a really good one.
Easy.
It was really good, but it doesn't work in this company. It doesn't. I can't do it. I'll get ourselves in trouble. I don't mean you.
Love to hear it during the break.
Yeah, it's just good. But no, I mean, because obviously, what could I have been thinking? But I will tell you, it is bizarre if you ever just look at anything. Okay, so here's one. Here's Innocence, and then we'll actually go to the sports.
Selma Hayek.
We'll do this. Yeah. I think of her frequently.
Yeah,
it just
well,
pops
they
up could-
could-
on my
they-
computer all
I
the
could
time.
guess that.
Yeah,
You'd be like,
you could.
well.
Yeah. No, so I'm pretty bald. I have some hair, but I'm pretty bald. And I keep it that way, too. I could grow it out, but, So anyhow, I need an efficient head shaver, scalp shaver. You want to be careful how you type all that stuff in. So I need the right kind of thing. And I was wondering if there was something that was better than another thing, right? I was, besides going to the actual, barber or something, I thought, is there a cool way to, just do this yourself. You don't need anybody else to help you. You can stand in the mirror and just do your whole head and be done with it. And so I looked one up. I typed it in. And now, man, everything I own, my iPad, my computer, my phone, I'm just driving down the road, the signs, the billboards, everything just as I go by pops up head shaver. Like, we're all interconnected now.
Yeah, well,
it's like nature.
It's the ad choices thing, because it knows what your
They
search
got
history
you.
is.
It's just ridiculous.
I mean, I looked
they
up
got you.
that obscure New York Rangers shirt that I wore the other day. It's hideous.
And you're not even a Rangers fan, and now
No.
you're screwed because the Rangers stuff going to be popping up everywhere.
That particular shirt does everywhere I go.
Everywhere
that
you
very
go.
shirt, which is just a weird shirt. And it's like, hey, do you want to buy this? Well, I already did, first of all. And second of all, go to hell.
Yeah, no, they got you. I bought a pair of shoes online. I bought a pair of Adidas that I like, that I wear online. Every freaking second of the day, Adidas is like, hey.
I think it would be a great bit for a late night talk show.
Right,
like
have something
this.
represent the brand like a
Sure.
real person.
What about this, though? Old people typing in regular Google searches. And
Old
they
people searching anything is awesome.
And then they search the images, and it's not what they intended for. And their horrified looks as they, search something just routine.
I want the bit to be, because how annoyed we get by what we're inundated with all the time because of our search history, I want that to be represented as a person. So you are trying to walk down the street and say, I just used Adidas. Adidas is represented by a person who's just dressed up like a shoe, and he's constantly dancing in front of you going, hey, hey.
Well, I think, wait a minute now.
And then the next thing.
I think Chappelle has done something like this.
Oh, has he?
Way back in the past, early in the Chappelle Show days.
He's smart like me.
And then somebody says, they ask him a question that's not appropriate for the radio. And they say, would you like da-da-da-da-da-da? And he goes, well, yes, I would.
Yes, I
and
would.
it's in a mall. He's in the shopping mall.
And
the internet is the mall. And it shows him walking to the back part of the mall.
See, there it is. All right, sports. We'll get to it. I want to weigh in on the facility debate, if you will. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And the Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast, brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer, 574-4100, and presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia, and Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices, like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment, because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees, and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy, on runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan's service department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records. You're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Stop now, go. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Trying to think. I was looking at, there have been two such stories on this. I want to weigh in on it. Give credit where credit's due. Ira Shafel is writing for warchant.com, as you guys know, and you can look at the latest article. It's part 3 in the series where they're looking at FSU and whether they should build a proposed football-only facility. You and I really haven't expounded upon that and talked about it all that much, and I wanted to here. Again, the first article, I want to give credit where credit's due. Ira wrote the first one, making the case 10 reasons why a new football facility is needed. Part 2 of this series, he wrote, programs large and small are pouring millions into football-only facilities. And then part 3 is where we are now, is whether or not to expand the Moore Center or start fresh, and the pros and cons to each approach. But I believe, and if somebody asked me about this via email, so I'm addressing it now, I do believe that Florida State, whether that's expanding the Moore and making that exclusive to the football program, or just building something out and changing, going all in on something new, I don't really care. Obviously, it doesn't affect me. But I do know this. I know that for as long as the rules are the rules and the money is the money that college football makes for universities, and the investments have been made previous, they're going to match what these coaches asked for. They're going to do. It's going to happen.
They say they're doing it for the players, and that's just the fatigue of it is starting to catch up to me. Because if you want to get personnel, and I'm not talking about Alabama hiring 150 people, I'm talking about if you want to get assistant coaches, and you want to get academic support staff, and you want to get trainers and nutritionists, and people that can help benefit the student athlete, I'm in. But if you want to get shiny toys with laser tag and a big slide and a golf simulator, eventually the money needs to be given to the kids, the ones that are helping bring all this money back to the university.
Yes.
Because this war will never stop, this arms race, and we're spending it on everything but the student athletes themselves that are bringing,
Yeah, I think it's going to change. I do think. Now, listen, I get it, and I don't want to go down that road again.
I don't either.
I know where we stand on that. You and I agree that
glad I'm
the
not
way
AD,
that
because at some point it's like enough.
But actually, I heard Keith Jones bring this up last night and give credit where credit's due for the front row, and he said, "Look, at some point we're Florida State. We play football. We have an elite facility. We're going to get you drafted if you play well enough. You're going to be on TV. You're going to be playing in big-time games against the greatest competition in the world. I don't need to get you a park, a slide, or a pool, or, a go-kart. I mean, we're Florida State. We take football seriously. If you want to slide down a super slide on a towel of some sort, and that's going to make the difference between coming here and going to Clemson or something like that, well,
then you're not for us.
Then you're not for us, right? At some point, you may reach that point, but again, if Alabama has slides, if Clemson has a whirlpool, and I don't know, a candy cane machine or whatever else, even
listen to that. You're being sort of serious.
Sort of, yeah. But here's what I know. I agree with you. There's absurdities. They abound. They're all there. The obvious examples, point your finger every which way to Sunday. I got you. And the obvious answer is, so we have that kind of money, huh? We're building waterfalls.
I'd rather you
game
illegally
rooms.
pay the kid under the table.
Yeah.
And say, well, we just don't have the newest Tekken in our arcade midway. I'm sorry.
Tekken's still a game? People are still playing Tekken?
Maybe not.
It'd be kind of cool.
But I have this envelope over here, and I didn't give it to you.
Okay, but here's what and Ira says this early in the article, and I was listening to Keith say that, and this is kind of a college football discussion that is in some way touched on at least 5 times a year, because it has to be addressed. All I'm saying is that when Coach Fisher says that he wants a standalone football operations center, I translate that to mean Jimbo Fisher is going to get a football operations standalone center. That's just what's going to happen. And here's why. Because while it's certainly relevant to say that they have no idea how much all of this is going to cost, and they have no idea how it's going to be funded, all of that's fine, and that's a practical thing. You do have to figure that out. Just know it's going to happen because Florida State threw their hat in the ring years and years ago. And you don't go about the process of building one of the foremost national football programs in all of college football to turn your back on it and decide to back out the game. It doesn't happen that way, and it won't. The alumni care too much about this football program because if you came to Florida State and you weren't one of those people that were here in the 50s and 60s and really outside of that, then you did by and large because you were aware of football and Florida State's reputation. And yes, the school matters to you greatly, but they're combined in a lot of ways, even to the hardcore academics. They are. People love Florida State football. You're just not, and they don't like losing lots of football games. We ran a legend out of here because he started to lose football games. And by and large was the nicest guy that you could ever have run a program, is a saint, so much so that that's his nickname. They got a damn mural on the side of the field. I mean, stained glass window of this figure, right? And he basically got fired because he couldn't win enough football games. You can't then tell me that it doesn't matter to the Florida State alumni and huge donors and everybody who cares about this great program, this university, that football is just going to go away and no longer be competitive. No, it's going to be competitive. You're going to give that coach and everybody involved in football the tools he needs to be a top 10 program because that decision was made ages ago. They're not going to decide overnight to be Wake Forest and walk away from it. It ain't happening.
Yeah, but do you think not having a standalone facility these days turns you into Wake Forest? It doesn't.
It's the path towards becoming Wake Forest.
Ah, jeez.
You of all people, nonsense, Tom Lang. You have always wanted those kinds of things for this football program.
At some point, what I'm saying is you got your IPF, which you needed because you couldn't practice. You were in the turf room running laps in a small room that we know how big it is. I mean, what is that? You know, it's not even a tenth of a mile if you're trying to do laps in there.
That's right.
There's no room for 85 people and walk-ons.
Right. Well,
much
you
of
also are practicing
room.
in the state of Florida where it lightnings in the deadest,
yes.
all the time.
You needed to overhaul the way we trained our athletes.
That's correct.
You needed to overhaul the way that we deal with off the field academic support, and that's still an ongoing thing. And also the mentality of playing sports now and trying to program kids away from
you had to modernize,
media.
you had to do all that stuff.
You got to do all those things. But you're telling me that you got to build something because you don't have enough office space? Because kids need a midway to go play arcade games in? Because
I
they
agree
want
with
the
you.
slides?
The arcade stuff, I mean, yes, that's the stuff that makes us all roll our eyes. I don't disagree with that. Those are just bells and whistles.
They
but
just got done with the
football,
Moore Center.
But standalone football facilities are not about whether or not you have a Galaga. And so, to me, if Clemson in your own division has it and they've sunk that kind of money into it, you're not going to sit idly by as we lose a five-star kid here and there to that program and then watch them unseat us as the best team in the ACC and one of the best 10 in all of college football. And if you find out that part of the reasons you are losing those battles when it becomes 50-50 is because you don't have a standalone football facility, and those kids are seeing that elsewhere. And it's not just places like Clemson, it's South Carolina and ridiculous schools that have never had a measure of success. If that's what's happening and we don't do it because you think it's a bit over the top and we lose games, no, people will not say it's okay. Well, we lose 4 games a year. It's true, Jeff, but at least we don't have that stupid-ass standalone football facility that those schools spent millions of dollars on. Nobody's going to say that's okay.
No, nobody's going to say that's okay. I just have a hard time, even if Jimbo Fisher were here giving bullet points, which I'm sure he would meticulously prepare for this particular purpose. I have a hard time jumping to the conclusion that us not having a standalone football facility compared to what we have is going to cost us football games.
For now, you do. But
Why would that cost us football games?
In years from now, if it's a sign you're not prepared to be all in. it'll be used against you.
So it's about a BS thing. It's about a status
been
thing.
about
so
keeping
it's not,
up with the Joneses.
It's not actually about function. It's about a statement that you make.
I would let Jimbo Fisher tell you about that. I would like to know more about these standalone football facilities and why coaches and athletic programs deem them to be necessary, and I would like defined terms. So I agree with you. I would be speaking out of school if I told you that I knew one way or the other that this would or would not, specifically, this particular thing, hurt us in our efforts to win football games. But the perception of what we are, thus affecting the reality, does get affected when you choose not to keep up with the Joneses.
If you tell me that, and I know that this is something that Ira pointed out when you were talking to him, and it wasn't just about the 10 things, it's about talking to people around the program. If you're telling me it's too crowded in there because of all the sports and they need to have their own facility, fine. I just don't understand why they couldn't have the Moore Center to themselves and build some ancillary facility for Olympic sports.
I agree with that.
Why do you have to have a standalone thing? Like, why do we have to spend that much money? I would much rather, if I had $40 million to work with, right, and that's what it would cost to build this thing, something crazy like that. Let's just say I had a tenth of that. What could you do in terms of coaching pool salaries? You know, making sure that you get the best assistants in the world or the best nutritionists in the world or the best academic support staff. I'd rather take better care of the kids day to day than have a shiny building for $40 million and take the same care of them. I'd rather differentiate myself as an athletic program by the way I treat the student athlete short of paying them, which I wish we could do.
It's an impossible argument to refute that you know, who is going to take the stance? Well, no, I don't care as much about the kids. I want slides.
No, but I'm talking about bodies. I'm talking about ratio of nutritionists and support staff and tutors. I mean, I'd like to see, you know.
Okay. Well, but now, hold on. In many of these places, whether it's Miami or I know FAU probably didn't belong in the discussion, but they sunk a ton of money in. In many of these facilities, they would say that's exactly what is happening. The attention goes on superfluous nonsense like slides and chocolate fountains and whatever else we talk. But that FAU facility that they just put $40 million into, there is an athletic and an academic excellence center where those players whose time is most consumed by playing a sport like football get help. Now, you and I can rightfully, with a John Desai, say that's code for people writing their papers. But they would counter with...
Well, I'd counter with there are a lot of classrooms on this campus that aren't being used 24/7.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we really have to have a room
just don't think you want to go down the
with
road.
more computers.
Okay, so you're going to take the fiscal responsibility stance, and I'm telling you...
No, I'm going to take you could spend that money in a better way.
Yeah.
You don't need the building. All you need... You need more personnel. I would just try and shrink the ratio as much as possible between tutor and student athlete. And again,
this is what I hear you. This is what Clemson opened. This is your chief rival in your own division. So let's just use them. I'm not even using Florida's $100 million.
And Clemson's the right example. Yeah.
Clemson is. You have to beat them and win the division in the ACC. Nobody's going to accept a perennial loss to them in the division. And say that that's okay. Why would this happen? Just as I pull up those numbers.
Well, a quick note. You know, there was a quote Jimbo said in the last few weeks when he was talking about the importance. It might have been in one of Andrea Adelson's articles, which there's 3 days in a row. But how he wanted an emphasis placed on a football academic center, a football learning center. And that was his battle cry last year around this time.
Right.
That was the next thing he wanted.
Right.
But now the standalone has taken the priority. And there's a quote to the effect of, and I'm not directly quoting here, so forgive me if I get just a little bit off.
Gotcha.
I'm paraphrasing. He says that we're still focusing on that, but we need the standalone facility first. I mean, come on. I think it's about...
I know. It's never going to end. It's never going to end. And as a coach, you're just going to say this because you want to keep up with the Joneses in an effort to recruit and win and be able to beat out your competition for that player, that 5-star guy that you need to win these games. Clemson's $55 million, 140,000 square foot football facility in January that opened up. It features the amenities that we talked about, which are absurd. But here are the practical things, right? The things that you would have. Coaches' offices, meeting rooms, recruiting lounge, recruiting war room, weight room, dining room, training room. Features a lap pool, hydrotherapy pools for the players. That you have a players' village there. And yes.
A players' village.
Well, that's code for basically a dorm. So what you have there is an outdoor kitchen with grills, and you're facilitating a family-type atmosphere. There's a theater outdoors. There's again, Do our players need a nap room?
There's a nap room.
A nap room.
Aw.
There's a nap room.
You have to bring a towel.
I don't care anything about the slides or anything
preschool.
like. But listen, North Carolina are building a indoor facility that will be mainly football specific. It's going to have a practice field, space for the strength and conditioning, sports medicine, athletic training for those players specifically, all that kind of stuff. It's toned down considerably compared to what is being done at Clemson. But the $55 million, 140,000 acre or square foot, I should say, football facility, if it was 140,000 acres. Oh my God.
Well, that's next. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be Alabama in 2 years.
You know, I got to tell you, you're the five-star kid deciding between Florida State and Florida, and I'm walking around a football-only facility with coaches' offices, meeting rooms, recruiting lounge, war room, weight room, dining room, training room, lap pools, hydrotherapy pools, all in one place, brand new.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And you know, I'm talking about what I'm talking about, but we all did college visits, you know, and
Yeah.
some of it, you did it for athletics a little bit. I think obviously you had to visit ETSU.
I had to drive.
But I, you know, I
Yes.
went up through the Northeast because that's where I first went to school, and I you know, toured NYU and Fordham
Right.
and Iona, and so I got to see the downtown campus of Fordham, which was really, really breathtaking.
Yeah.
Because you're in the financial district, and you know that has the allure because it's bright and shiny. So
Right. You
I
know
get
how that
being
works.
16, 17. So maybe I'm answering the question, but it's just at some point, why does that much money need to be spent on a thing, and we keep on ignoring? Nick Saban is going to make $11-point-something million
That's correct.
next year.
And Nick Saban, I believe, is on record as saying that he would be in favor of players getting some form of payment.
I mean,
How could you not if you're going to make
all
$11 million
student
off of
athletes,
it? Yes.
all students, period, but all student athletes especially, Olympic sports, football, everything in between, they deserve to be applauded for all the crap they put themselves through because it's an incredible commitment to the university and to your craft and to your sport.
It's also in certain places, and very few, but Florida State has been one of them in the past, a money-making endeavor for the university. So those investments are repaid.
But let's not kid ourselves on who brings the money in. You know,
The players.
I love that cross country gets new uniforms every year or whatever it is. And that's great because student athletes across the board are important and it's a fabric of the academic culture. But damn it if the kids that are playing football aren't bringing in $100 for every dollar you bring in, $1,000 for every dollar that you bring in by playing an Olympic sport. And we keep on building these monstrosities, the next thing up. When will it end? Before the kid itself, you know, the player themselves are taken care of for being the one that helped build Doak Campbell Stadium, that helped build the IPF.
They got to figure out a way to do that, though. While we can all maybe agree at some point, even those that have been staunchly against it, have come over at some point and said, yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, I get it now. You know,
I mean, how much does Jimbo have to make per year before we get uncomfortable?
Well, that ship has sailed, my friend. I mean,
About what the players are making.
no,
you
but
know
I'm
what
saying,
I'm saying?
I think people get that. I think most people, and they agree to varying degrees, will say, yeah, we've gotten to a point now. You know, when the coaches were making $100,000, which literally wasn't all that long ago, you could see where just the scholarship itself was worth what they were getting, you know, and it was harder to make the argument for paying players. But as coaches make $5, $6, $7, $8, $11 million, and you have assistants and other assistants in some cases, third and fourth assistants making $1 million. And these guys that, okay, look, assistant coaches in the 90s very frequently didn't have guaranteed contracts. They didn't have multi-year contracts. So think about that. That's no longer the case when you've got multiple assistants on one staff making $1 million and are on guaranteed long-term deals. Yeah, I mean, obviously the money is great when you're building these kinds of facilities. Yes, at some point some of it should trickle to the players. Even if we agree on all of that, devising the way how is the next step in that conversation. But that doesn't render this conversation moot.
No, there's a function to it. I get it. It's just that I'm glad I'm not a decision maker because the fatigue at some point I think sets in for all of us, and for me, it's
And then it affects judgment.
right. And this is probably the right thing to do given the climate. And if you hate the climate, too bad. It's the
Well,
climate. You just
yeah.
have to move with it. You have to roll with it. You don't have to like it, but you have to do something about it. Fair. But I mean, when does it end? We talked about an article yesterday off the air, how Louisville's APR score has gone through the roof in the last few years. And there's speculation about people from people in the know around the country that maybe they're spending money investing in majors, like actual college majors that might be more player friendly. And not to the benefit of the player necessarily, just to the benefit of the APR score.
To process them through the university in a way that they can handle while also playing sports.
So they've been many of the players come from backgrounds where the high school
they were
system
cheated.
But we don't do anything to fix it.
Yeah, we screwed them.
We'll make sure that their mind is right for Saturdays, but we're not going to make sure that we're going to bridge the gap between what failed them.
See, you're doing it. I agree with you. Those kinds of things are abhorrent. And when we watch documentaries and when we find out that there's a peek behind the curtain that can be taken by all of us with just a little bit of digging, it's enough to make you sick. Gotcha. I think everybody agrees with that. And then says, are we building the new facility?
Yeah.
Well, what are you
That's the hard part.
But are you going to stop watching? You're going to stop covering and stop going?
I'm going to watch with,
with
a
eyes
lower
clear.
amount of... Well, with eyes clear, but the school pride thing, that does dissolve.
It is diminished.
Over time.
It's greatly diminished.
Yeah.
It's already happened in my life. It's already happened in your life. It's professional sports now. You're rooting for a jersey.
I come from the mercenary age. I grant you, free agency and everything and highlights. That's the era, the Sports Center era, if you will. But even still,
it's only going to get worse.
You at some point can do something to actually
Here's what you have
help your borderline kids that aren't going to go play in the NFL instead of process them through the freaking system.
But here's the good news. Okay, eventually it gets so absurd that change does come, and we're headed rapid fire towards that. That is to say, Power 5 conferences break away from all the other schools who can't afford to do these kinds of things and literally does become a minor leagues to some extent that is housed by various universities. They benefit financially from it, but then at some point those players are paid and helped along the way and given options. Such as if you really want an education, you can get one here, or if you'd like to do this over here, that's where eventually
that's the
we
motto
go.
When we have beers every time we get on this subject. Said, either you go to school and you live by the rules, you die by the rules, or you say screw school and here's your flat rate check for every semester, and if you suck, we cut you.
Well, listen, I think we should be a little bit more aggressive on those fronts already, given certain circumstances. But I agree with you. Yes, I think we have to be a little bit more forward-thinking when it comes to that. I'm surprised it hasn't happened. I predicted 10 years ago it would have happened.
Until then, we have a 3-story football facility. Well, we have a 5-story football facility.
And until then, if you don't have said 5 football story facility, you better get on with the getting. Because you care damn well about whether or not we win those games on Saturday, just as you do whether or not Johnny understands his history.
Honestly, remind me in the third quarter of a close game. Hey, Tom, remember all that bitching about,
I will. That's why I got mad a moment ago when you were like, and I was like, you care deeply about that. Don't you dare do that. We all are hypocrites as fans of college football. Big time. I am, you are, Matthew really is. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
License number CCC 049350.
Okay, so you're telling me that Beef O'Brady's has buy one, get one free deals? Free fish and chips!
Free boneless wing baskets!
Free chicken nachos! That's what I call an order. Buy one, get one free every Thursday in May at Beef's.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. It's Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Oh no! My lunch has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
So, these gigantic, shiny toys that are being built are all part of the aesthetic, right? Where you walk into these stadiums and you're amazed by what they look like. And I will say that, again, looking from the outside at our stadium, Doak Campbell Stadium, I've traveled around to see quite a few stadiums. Plenty of you out there have seen more, but when we go to college football stadiums, I'm always comparing and contrasting. And back in the day, when it was the erector set, I was always kind of like, yeah, got a ways to go. But then that beautiful facade was erected while I was in school and watched all that happening. And seemed like it was perpetually under construction, very frustratingly so. But now the result is that wondrous outside that you see as you approach. I will say that, it hides, it masks the piece of crap on the inside, especially the underneath, which is just hideous. But there are plenty of stadiums that are nicer inside, very few, if any, on the outside for college football as Doak Campbell Stadium. And it got me to thinking about the joys of walking into stadiums in general. And do you feel, just out of curiosity, Bill Murray once brought this up when talking about, as a kid, being taken into Wrigley Field by his dad and his brother covering his eyes. And it's a heartfelt little moment, and he talked about letting him see. And it makes more sense, too, when you consider that he grew up in an era where television was black and white. So to see it in color for the first time, the brightness and the greens and how lush and all of that it was. Do you still get that going into stadiums in general, Like, do you still walk into a stadium, any stadium, professional or college? I'm not talking about like a high school event, but you know what I mean, and still have that feeling of wonder?
Yeah. The first few that come to mind, the Rose Bowl, obviously.
Woo!
That was
I probably felt
didn't-
more childlike in
Yeah.
that moment than I had in a long, long time. You're right.
when the usher left us, because we were in the auxiliary, press box, we really didn't look too much at the field or inside before we got seated where we were going to be for the BCS title game. And then going back through the next year, it felt just the same. Like, I felt as excited. Honestly, even though it's a modern wonder of the world, walking into Arlington, Jerry's World, in the Oklahoma State-Florida State game, not when we were doing the broadcast, which was cool, but when we were there for the game day, it was like a shot of adrenaline walking in there. That felt like a championship game atmosphere. The moment you walk in, there's just something, maybe it's the acoustics of the building, but there's an energy in there that is unmistakable, and I didn't expect to feel, and I felt immediately just entranced and ready to play.
I'll give you this, because at a distance, I thought, what a hideous edifice. What are we doing here? Just a distance, you're like, this thing is like a spaceship.
Yeah, it looks like a spaceship.
But when you got there and walked in,
when the doors open and you feel the cool air, I was here we go. It happens to me every time I go into Amalie Arena, which was, the Ice Palace and the St. Pete Times Forum.
Yeah.
And
some of that's nostalgia, but also hockey has a way, when you go into a hockey arena, the way the light shines off the bright white ice, and you're just kind of, it takes you back for a second. It's beautiful.
And they're blaring the music as the guys are warming up, and you just stop for a second and stare, and it's a moment of silence that you take in. I'm about to watch something freaking awesome. Because it is nostalgia. For me, that was the sport my parents took me to. For so many who are listening to this, it's Doak Campbell. It's walking through whatever section tunnel, the upper ones, the lower ones, that they always have with their parents, or they take their kids to now. I know my sister and my brother-in-law, they met here at Florida State. They met at Osceola Hall off of Chapel, and they take their kids to one game a year. They're 3 children, and my nieces and nephews love that tradition, but, that's the special moment for them because Doak Campbell means so much to them.
We take that place for granted now just because we've covered the team and been here for so long. I know I do. I don't feel really much of anything too much, although I will say coming through the tunnel or something is different. But, yeah, being in the stands, kind of like, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, when they're walking around the parking lots this past year, I'm playing cornhole at a tailgate, and it was the Friday night BC game, and getting a little cornhole in before the kickoff. And
Indeed.
Yeah, well, how about that? This time in the parking lot with bean bags and actual
what are
wooden
you, a Buffalo
plywoods.
Bills fan?
Yeah. No. Thankfully, our tailgates haven't evolved into that kind of debauchery yet.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
But, the wonder in their eyes is akin to them being in a theme park. You could see it.
Right.
That it's very
my
special
kids
to them
feel
that they're
way
here.
when I take them to the games, too, by the way. We're just hanging out outside, and there's a buzz.
Sure. The first time I went to Shea Stadium, I can remember. We were playing the Cardinals. Mets Cardinals. Outlighter was on the hill that night. We sat in left field, just in foul territory, but it was the loge level, which was the green seat level at Shea Stadium.
I remember it well. I've actually been to the old Shea Stadium more than once.
You could see the giant scoreboard and the sky that night. Oh, my God. It was everything from black to that really deep, deep blue. It was almost like something you'd see in stained glass when you walk into Notre Dame in Paris. It was gorgeous, and the field was so green. I can still see that as clear as day. So there are moments that it still happens, but, the ones I remember the most are the first times that I went into a place like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, oddly enough, even in my adult life, walking into new stadiums, any new stadium, I have always felt the same surge of energy and enthusiasm that I felt the first time I went to a professional game. Going in and seeing the first game I ever went to, I do believe, I know for certain the first ever professional baseball game I ever went to was the old Tiger Stadium in Detroit. My dad took me, and I think I was 7. And we went to Tiger because he was visiting an old Army buddy. And we went up to Detroit to see his friend, and he said, let's go to the Tigers game tomorrow. And we did, and I was blown away. And I tell the story of Chet Lemon hitting a home run, my dad almost catching it and all that. But, yeah, I think it was Tigers-White Sox. And that old stadium, Tiger Stadium. And now every baseball stadium I go into, less so with professional football, more so college football. I feel it. If you go see a game at Oklahoma or Texas like you did, or you go to any of the big-time schools in the SEC.
That was, yeah.
You walk into a school, like, hey, listen, Clemson Stadium is awesome. I love it. I mean, going there, that atmosphere is fantastic. Going down to Gainesville and going down to Miami, when the intensity of a rivalry is in play, and walking into the stadium and seeing the field, even though I've been in those stadiums countless times, I still get it. But Notre Dame and
there's a rise you get out of being in enemy territory.
Oh,
most
big
certainly.
time. That's actually a different discussion. That's kind of fun.
And an energy.
Yeah, I'm not afraid.
Yeah, here it is. Here's the garnet. Suck on this.
I wore Bucks gear going into Soldier Field in the December game I told you about, and I actually got complimented for it. But yeah, I mean that's.
When I was at the Texas game this past year, because of a lack of planning on their part and the concession space, I really didn't get to my seats till about the third drive of the game. They traded touchdowns.
Yes, they did.
But the moment
for the
you
rest
get
of
up,
the game,
and you're crawling across a bunch of people, and it's like Clemson's upper deck where it's really vertically stacked, so you have to be extremely careful and you're a little nervous.
Yes.
Yeah. But then you turn around and you see Notre Dame's uniform and you see Texas uniform.
Oh, it's cool.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You know,
it's cool. Yeah, I like
just two classic
It gets
programs.
better. Florida State's one of them.
Well, of course it does, but you know what I'm talking about. You're just looking at two classic programs and what that
there's a
symbolizes.
part of me that would love to see the Florida-Michigan game.
Yeah.
I just think it would be kind of cool to look at.
Well, I mean, it's a momentous occasion that Florida's playing an
outside the state of Florida
opponent outside the state of Florida.
I can actually, I can appreciate, I can remove the rivalry and the disdain that I have for certain programs and the histories of those programs and how they relate to us and any of those things. I can actually go and be just a lover of college football. If I walk if Miami were playing Oregon, sounds really cool actually. If those two teams were playing and I just happened to have a ticket, somebody said, hey, you got a ticket and you're going to Autzen or something, and you sat down, I could really love that. I just use them as an example, but any big-time program, I like that kind of thing.
Oh, buddy, yeah. I mean, when I got to go see Yankees-Red Sox Game 7, neither of those are my team.
No.
But,
that's an amazing thing, yeah.
And I think they didn't make the playoffs this year, but if anybody who's listening is within reasonable driving distance of Tampa and you can go to a playoff game for the Lightning.
Oh, it's awesome.
What they do before the game, you will be crying tears of rage because you'll be ready.
You're ready to take
jump
somebody
over the
out.
glass and take somebody out.
Yeah, it's great.
And it starts at it used to be one of the pictures in my Twitter feed. Not that matters, but they give you blue lights, these blue lightning color blue lights, and they take out all the lights in the arena, and that's all you see. And
they do it right.
And then
by
they
the
do
way.
a
The
light
stuff
show
on the
onto
ice. Well, they can do a lot of cool things on the ice.
Oh my God!
Make it look like it's cracking.
It's just a
and
spectacle.
They got Thunderstruck playing.
I mean, it's got all the elements of your favorite sporting events to get you jacked up.
Plus wrestling.
And when you were a kid, seeing the fireworks show in Disney World or something like that. It's just a spectacular show. And by the time they turn the lights on and the anthems are over, you're ready to punch the hell out of the guy next to you.
Yeah, if you ever lose that, I think you just stop going to games. Because you could just as easily watch the competition aspect of it at the house.
Or if you're really old, because I took my dad to that playoff game, he goes, how many of these do they do? Because there were 4 of them, and he'd gotten fired up and came down. Because they really, it's about 15 minutes worth of little intros. How many of these things can they do? I can't take it anymore.
I had a guy drive me in an Uber not long ago. We were having a function where I wanted to make sure I did the right thing. So we were all meeting up, I think, at the CP, and I took an Uber, and the guy who drove me was great. We were talking about my line of work, and he had asked me what I did. And then he goes, when you get to my age, you just can't go to the games. And I said, why? He goes, it's just people.
Can't you see that?
Oh, but it was funny. When he said it, I kind of thought for a moment, I was like, I think that's where we all end.
Pageantry, lights, the rage, the awesomeness.
People.
But you have to deal with people,
strangers.
And the game starts. And you got,
a-holes.
Two people in front of you talking about their Instagram.
Time, about nothing.
Yeah.
Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Where you live, so you're gonna pick a winner. Get a fresh take on spring with 1 quart Vigoro Annuals, 3 for just $10. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Selection varies by store, U.S. only. See store for details.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan's service department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records, you're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens. $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Okay, so you're telling me that Beef O'Brady's has buy one, get one free deals? Free fish and chips!
Free boneless wing basket!
Free chicken nachos! That's what I call an order. Buy one, get one free every Thursday in May at Beef's.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. What a night and what a game for Florida State softball. Kelly Barnhill's flair for the dramatic gives the Noles a 3-1 walk-off victory over the Gators, giving the Noles their 48th win of the season. It marked the 3rd time that FSU has defeated the #1 team in the country and the first since that 3-2 win against Arizona State way back in 2008. On the high school level, Connor Burke hit a 3-run bomb in the top of the 7th. Lincoln wins over Childs 10-3. They win the District 2-8A title on Wednesday night. A Hillsborough County, Florida judge called out South Florida coach Charlie Strong and one of his players. Judge Margaret Taylor said she was ashamed to be an alumnus of the school and questioned whether Strong had control of his players. In the NBA, Tony Parker has a potentially torn quad, which would require him to miss the rest of the postseason.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. I hope you're well. I'm guessing you are doing better today, at least feeling-wise, than Tony Parker. Weird lead, I know, but I want to bring something up here in a second. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you get to listen live via the streaming free. Always. You can email the show if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. We'll put the show up upon the conclusion of this here program. All 3 hours goes up on iTunes and our own audio vault. Hey, did they get to the transcoding?
They got to the transcoding as of 7:45 this morning, something like that. Yeah.
So we're better. We're good now. I haven't done any checking.
As far as I know,
do I need to get after some checking?
Well, we'll find out. I mean,
Let's
the
get
first
to-
hour just concluded, so that's the big test. Cross your fingers.
All right. I'm on them, people. And moreover, Tom, who knows something about it, is on them. Doing what we can do. What do you want? Do what we can. It's not our fault. It's their fault. But that doesn't help you. So email the show if you want, jcs at 979 ESPN Radio. You can find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app works for all your mobile devices. And I would also note that you're luckily going to listen to this show via podcast with a limited commercial interruption, thanks to our sponsor, CarltonDean.com, where you can learn more about making money and income-producing properties. I'm curious about something. On this show, we used to grade injuries all the time. Kind of got tired of that because there were a couple that just weren't going to be able to be outdone. The ripping of the groin, for example, from the pubic bone.
Sure.
Yeah.
Detachment. Yeah.
Detachment. That's a toughie. I said ripping. Detachment sounds more clinical and
it does. It makes it easier because I'm cringing at the moment.
But Tony Parker suffered a left leg injury in the third quarter of last night's San Antonio blowout win. Blowout in the fourth quarter in Game 2. Win over the Rockets, which is something we touched on, that they would make an adjustment. It would be fun to watch. And it's a shame, too, because you kind of feel like it's the end of his career. They're saying now probably surgery. And here's the deal with that, is that was alleged to have been perhaps a ripping of the quad. And it occurred to me in the moment that if that's in fact what happened, his quad ripped. Where would you put that?
Well, yeah.
Most pain you've ever, by the way, as an aside, most pain you've ever had?
Well, my episode last year with the sternum was pretty bad. But
I know, and I laughed at you, and I feel bad now that you were in that much pain. But it was, I knew, that I've told people, that's when I knew you were in pain, because you didn't find it funny that I was chuckling.
Well, and it got worse. You only saw the tip of the iceberg because trying to sleep at night was impossible.
What was that again? It was called something.
Costochondritis. Yeah, it's just a severe,
chest pull.
Yeah, like bruising, pulling of
like the chest muscle, right? The cavity right there.
Yeah, I needed muscle relaxers, and I still felt the pain through the muscle relaxers. And if you know anything about those, they don't mess around with them. 500 milligrams at a time, and I could still feel it. But I couldn't lay down to sleep because the energy and the pulling on that area that it takes to lift up and sit up was unbearable.
How did you sleep?
I slept sitting up in pillows. I'd stack the pillows, and I would
Were you able to
extend
actually
my
fall
feet
asleep?
out.
You got so tired you could fall asleep?
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, you don't have a choice. And then you wake up and
you're uncomfortable as hell.
Well, you're panicked because now I have to kind of get up and get my feet on the ground.
And you're going to be in pain.
No, I mean, I have so much more respect for old people, I'm sorry.
Poor bastards.
Yeah, or people who, have to have bypass surgeries because, they got to cut you open. They got to crack the rib cage. Man, that is because you realize, and it sounds very simple when you say it, but you realize how much the rib cage is involved in every movement you make. It's brutal.
That's like anything with your tailbone or your Achilles or things like that. Things that are vital to your movement.
Oh,
yes.
yeah,
Back injuries, things like that.
In a fight, the fight started that I was tackled blindsided into the ground, and my tailbone hasn't been the same ever since. So if I sit in a really flat surface for too long, I need to get up because the pain is too much.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I last night when that happened, I thought, what a shame. And it could actually adversely, obviously, affect this series. That's a 15-year career you may have just watched ended.
And, man, the burst, because I mentioned it yesterday, he's not finishing at the rim as much as he did in his younger years. But the agility, the burst, the wiggle, everything, it looked like it did 5-6 years ago for a 5-6 game stretch here in the
Hey,
playoffs.
18 points last night. He looked
Yeah.
great. He was 8 of 13. It was all going well. And if you are a San Antonio fan, you thought, there it is. He's back, that guy that we need. And we're good.
Unbelievable speed.
It's brutal. But when they described it, again, likely to need surgery now to repair a torn quad. You hear about hamstrings tearing all the time. You hear about, unfortunately, groin muscles and all those kinds of things. You hear about tears everywhere. Obviously, ACLs, MCLs, all those kinds of things. You so seldomly hear about a quad ripping. Oh,
Well,
man.
it's like you were saying, you realize and you feel bad because I wasn't laughing at the joke.
That's when I knew.
Well, the way he reacts to this is he's in so much pain he can't wail, for too long, and he has to be carried off the court, and he's staring at the ground because he doesn't want to.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't even want to see anything. He just wants to stare down. And he tried to get up and walk off under his own power. He gets picked up, carried off the court by his teammates, and lowered into a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And unlike Paul Pierce, he actually needed the wheelchair. And, now
it's
we
still
know
one of the
just
most
how bad
embarrassing moments for a grown-up I've ever seen.
You're going to
a
be
grown-ass man gets put into a wheelchair, meaning Paul Pierce,
weeping,
and comes back playing.
And he's weeping as he's wheeled away, and yes, in the chair.
You get the hell out of here with that. That's one of the worst things. I mean, that's
how
worse
that's
than
not number one in his legacy.
Well, he's a good player, too. That's the
Can't
other
come-
problem. Yeah, but that is when we get into the machismo of sports and how sometimes that completely crosses the line, and I get all that, but there is an element of that is a toughness that's involved in sports that every man certainly, I think, understands if you've ever competed at any level. And you don't respect the joker who overplays the injury. It's why we all laugh at fawning soccer players diving to the ground and looking. It's why we get so mad about flops. It's against the code, man.
Yeah.
It's against the code.
Oh, I told you, I've said it before in the air, too. It happened to me once playing flag football here in undergrad, and I got my leg caught underneath me.
You
as
thought
I
for
was,
sure.
I thought I was done. And I wailed because I it was just an instinct. I am so freaking hurt. I can feel, I can see the ambulance coming, getting in the ambulance, and the ACL because I thought I destroyed my knee.
Yeah.
Because it hurt, but then you wait for those few
All right,
seconds,
let's see,
and you're
where are we
waiting
going with
for
this?
how much pain am I going to feel?
What? Oh.
And then
All right.
stretch the leg,
all
stand up, and I apologized to the other team. I said, I am sorry. And the guy who tackled me, because he kind of tackled even though it's flag football.
Oh, sure. That's the way
he
the
goes,
game's played.
No, I get it. I felt your leg. I thought it was bad. I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I apologize. I am not that guy.
You know that, by the way, and I give Tony Parker a lot of credit because he was not crying, and as you said, he was locked in on the floor. Okay, so I think that's the way you deal with those kinds of painful moments is you lock in on something. You have to. I have, I've had knee surgery. I've had foot surgery. I've shattered my arm not once but twice. I've broke my nose 3 times. I've broken fingers. I've had a lot of breaks. I've had a lot of issues with injury. I got a plastic bone in my foot and a steel pin. The second time that I broke my arm was just stupid-ass City League softball. It's ridiculous. Matt Millar was there.
The doctor ridiculed you, as I recall.
Yeah, well, I was in my 30s, and he said, it's about time to take up something else, man. And it's just not that important. I was like, well, I didn't want him to take the extra base. Anyhow, the point would be this. Millar was there. He heard it. So did everybody else on the field. You could hear it. That's what was bad about it. The guy standing at second base, I was playing left field, heard my arm snap and looked out at me. And I knew it was broken, not just from the sound, because I've broken it before. I knew the feeling.
Yeah.
But it was like slow motion. I looked into the infield, and I could see people with their hands on their head, and the guy standing at second, even the base runner was kind of like, oh, Jay, that's not good, right? So I got up. I got angry because I know what's involved. That's happened every time I've ever been really hurt. I'm angry. The pain's there, but I'm pissed because you can see the weeks and weeks and weeks of rehab and the things that are going to happen next. And if you can somehow lock into that weird place where the pain's there. But if you can somehow divert your brain's attention to the fact that, hey, there are all these other cumbersome things that now got to occur. I got to get to the hospital. They're going to have to set this thing. They're maybe going to have to do surgery and put a pin in. Then I'm going to have a cast on. Then I have to rehab it. It's going to cost me thousands of dollars, even with insurance. Then I'm going to have to do all this other stuff. I'll probably never get the strength back again. Like, I was consumed by the thoughts of all the things that I had to do next now that I know this is officially broken. And that what made me sad watching him is I think that in addition to trying to lock in on something other than the thought of the pain that he was in, I'm sure it rushes through his brain in the moment, my career is over. I'm 34 years old, 35 years old, and I just ripped my quad. I know it's ripped. Now, it's over. My career, my stellar career. This is it. I'm done. I'm a speed guy.
Yeah, it's the proverbial Cadillac Williams the second time he went down.
Oh, that's the worst thing I've ever heard with a mic. Didn't he say, oh, no?
He said, not again.
Yeah, it was awful when he said not again. That's the saddest thing I've ever. Yeah.
I told you, man. I was at my buddy Pat Noe's house.
Yeah, you
and
teared
Pat
up,
worked
didn't
on
you?
Yeah, I was watching with him and his dad. And all three of us were talking, and then we see him. We go, oh, he's down.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not again.
You're like.
And we all go.
On that note, let's go to break. I forgot about that.
You're
right. That was clear as a bell, wasn't it? Oh, no.
I'm actually kind of.
It bothers you now?
I need some time.
He was really good for a minute.
He was.
He was
Gruden
really
saw it.
good.
Gruden said, you're going to be good for exactly 1 minute, but you're going to be great for a minute.
Oh, man. Damn it. That stinks. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
License number CCC 049350.
Okay, so you're telling me that Beef O'Brady's has buy one, get one free deals? Free fish and chips!
Free boneless wing baskets!
Free chicken nachos! That's what I call an order. Buy one, get one free every Thursday in May at Beef's.
If your man cave has 4 tires and a steering wheel, then CarQuest Auto Parts is for you. If you turn your radio down so you can hear your engine hum, then CarQuest is for you. That's because CarQuest Auto Parts is for those who really know and care about their car. CarQuest carries BWD engine parts. BWD, making parts that meet or exceed original equipment parts for over 90 years. CarQuest is serious auto parts. Visit CarQuest.com.
Right now, everything is in bloom at the Jared Semi-Annual Event. Stop in from May 3rd through May 7th and enjoy our best prices of the season. Jared has an amazing collection of spectacular jewelry for you to discover, including exclusive pieces you can't find anywhere else. Don't miss the Jared Semi-Annual Event, May 3rd through the 7th. That's why he went to Jared. Pandora, Tag Heuer, Tacori, and select Movado watches excluded. Other product exclusions may apply. See jared.com for details.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
So something happened a couple weeks back, and I didn't get a chance to get to it. We weren't on the air, I think, when the story first came out. And, we occasionally, whenever the opportunity presents itself, we do a shelter from the storm, which is a fixed position feature we run. Because I know and you know that for the most part, all we do is, and I don't mean this show, I just mean in general in our lives as people. And by you guys, I mean all of us. That's every one of us. What you get showered with is a lot of negativity and a lot of bad news and a lot of really heartbreaking stories or situations that are tough to read about and things that bother you and stick with you. So occasionally it's nice to read about the cool things that people do for one another or for their communities or for individuals. And we had one involving Florida State. So if you would, cue it up, good sir.
Come in, she said, I'll give ya shelter from the storm.
And Shelter from the Storm is brought to you by our good friends at Parker Brothers Roofing and Construction. Great job on my house. Roof looks great. I strongly recommend them. Pros, man, and efficient. They get in, get out. It's done. It's beautiful. It's worth your time. If you're in the market for a new roof, call Parker Brothers Roofing, 656-8112. All right, so the story is this. Maven Saunders, the very talented tight end at Florida State, was awarded for volunteering at a Tallahassee elementary school. And my favorite part about the story isn't that he did that. Lots of football players do that. Lots of athletes do that. Lots of students at Florida State do that. It's that when you're a high-profile football player, and really anybody that plays football for Florida State or any of the major schools, anything you do is pretty well documented and a lot of times orchestrated by the university or by the athletic department or the coaching staff. And that's fine. That's good, too. That has merit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the coaches in the university organizing players from various sports to volunteer. But when somebody takes the onus to do it themselves and they don't necessarily want credit for it, and they're not doing it for a PR push, man, that's just goodness right there, right? That's not because you had to. That's not because you were told to. That's not because it's going to look good. It's because you wanted to, and you didn't even necessarily want the credit. And that's the case for Maven Saunders, who for the past year and a half, apparently, has been volunteering at Riley Elementary School here in Tallahassee, mentoring 2 young students. And he said that it started as extra credit for a class. However, following the semester, he decided he wanted to donate his time 4 hours a week, which, if you know anything about what it is to play big-time college athletics or to be an athlete at a university, for that matter, any university, it's time-consuming. It is exhausting. I mean, these guys, the so-called off-season doesn't really exist anymore in college football. So to take 4 of the hours that you would have to do with what you want and not have those hours be lifting weights or doing certain types of workouts at all times, and to donate those hours to a school is really spectacular and a great thing to hear about. He did receive a certificate of commendation from Riley Elementary School. He was named as the Outstanding Adult Volunteer by the school. He was a recipient there. And he says he was shocked. I was mentoring a kid and kept asking for my information. I told him my information. I didn't know what it was for. He called me the other day for the ceremony and told me I was being presented with this award and all that. And anyhow, he had left this unbeknownst to any of his teammates, didn't tell his teammates about this, or the coaches, but just continued to volunteer on his own. And it was never for publicity. Quote, I kept the award away from everybody, but they figured it out. I'm not doing it for show. I'm not doing it for things like that. My goal is just to reach out and to help the kids. And he goes on to talk a little bit about how, the investment in time and learning and helping those students' life outside the classroom. Quote, those kids don't have much going for them. They don't have mentors to help them, to push them, to challenge them, to teach them and help them reach their potential. I'm just trying to help out. I'm trying to touch a few guys and see if I can do the right thing. Well, I mean, I could just stop there. That's freaking fantastic. And I wanted to say, great job, Maven Saunders. And since we are always looking for a Shelter from the Storm segment or opportunity to talk about something good, it's doubly cool for us to be able to do it when it involves a Florida A&M or Florida State University or TCC player or anybody at a local high school. That's all really, really cool. So good on you, Maven Saunders. Keep up the good work. Hopefully more people. You'll inspire not just those kids, but people on your team and people within the athletic offices to do more and be a part of that. I can tell you, as somebody who's volunteered before, and we all have in various ways, in various forms, man, ain't nothing better than that, right? I mean, the joy you get from helping people. And it's funny, you may not think about it at the time. I've actually, because I'm a jerk, begrudgingly driven to a place where I'm volunteering or doing something and thought, damn it, I could be doing this. But when you leave, you feel immensely better, right? I mean, like, changes your outlook on everything.
Sure.
I'm just speaking for anybody who does it in any way. And a lot of people do a hell of a lot more than I do. So I'm not trying to draw attention here. I'm just saying he's on to something there. He's on to some real goodness there. And it feels like we could use a little bit more of it. So good on you, Maven Saunders. And that is Shelter from the Storm. Again, brought to you by our good friends at Parker Brothers Roofing. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
County Islands and Crystal Clear Flats. For more information regarding charters, call Seaquarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flo.
When Flo flows, she flows in the know. Mind ruminates the rates. Shown them all, I heed the call. Seeing the rest, I choose the best. Sometimes it's ours, sometimes it's not. When the fox walks, is it called a fox trot? That's a real question.
Compare Progressive direct rates with competitors' rates. Visit progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Pick a color. Any color. The Home Depot has most every annual under the sun when it comes to brilliant splashes of color for your garden. Like Vigoro 1-quart annuals, a special buy, 3 for just $10. Red, yellow, purple, blue, whatever you pick, these annuals are selected to thrive where you live. So you're gonna pick a winner. Get a fresh take on spring with 1-quart Vigoro annuals, 3 for just $10. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Selection varies by store, U.S. only. See store for details.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
Huntley Gordon, what a night and what a game for Florida State softball. Kelly Barnhill's flair for the dramatic gives the Noles a 3-1 walk-off victory over the Gators, giving the Noles their 48th win of the season. It marked the third time that FSU has defeated the #1 team in the country and the first since that 3-2 win against Arizona State way back in 2008. On the high school level, Connor Burke hit a 3-run bomb in the top of the 7th. Lincoln wins over Childs 10-3. They win the District 2-8A title on Wednesday night. A Hillsborough County, Florida judge called out South Florida coach Charlie Strong and one of his players. Judge Margaret Taylor said she was ashamed to be an alumnus of the school and questioned whether Strong had control of his players. In the NBA, Tony Parker has a potentially torn quad, which would require him to miss the rest of the postseason.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
The goodness that is Fugazi. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. You know what time it is? It's time for Who's Hot, Who's Cold. Yeah, baby. I haven't done this one in a little while. Brought to you by our friends at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for Who's Hot.
It's so damn hot.
Who's cold?
Looks like she's gonna turn cold tomorrow.
Oh yeah, got a front coming in.
Yeah, you got that right.
Who's hot, who's cold? Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. They're open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m., 7 p.m. Now they got you covered, not just when you dial 580-4029 and say, something's wrong with my hair, come quick. You could also dial 229-495-6599. They're branching out, taking over the world for their excellent service. It is now known multiple counties.
Oh, those days of 90, 92
no,
with a heat index
don't bring
of
it up,
triple
man.
digits, they're coming.
I don't want to hear it.
Eventually, they're coming.
Talking about a heartbreak, aren't we?
Next Thursday, they're coming.
Is it next Thursday?
I just saw, the early forecast says we'll hit the 90s next week.
Go check out the Total Comfort Service Program. You'll see that it is very affordable, and it is protection against these hottest or during the wintertime, coldest days of the year. They're coming out. They're helping you. They're getting things done right now. It happened to me this year, Florida State Clemson, that epic night, great game. I was getting ready to walk out the door to go cover the game, and actually that was a game that I sat in the Champions Club, the Tom Lang Memorial.
That's right. It's a living memorial.
That's true. And so I was not really going to have to hyper-focus on the details of the game, but just cheer as a fan. And I noticed it was a little toasty in the house. Before we walked out the door, we had the babysitter come over so the kids could just sit back and relax, and we could go and have a good time. And I said to my wife, did you meddle with the air conditioning, as women are wont to do? And she said, I have not. I said, well, it's hot, which is code for why don't you go take a look at that air conditioning. And she said, it does feel a little warm in here. And then, bam, I was calling Barano. And they had somebody there that night of the Clemson game on a Saturday night.
Wow.
That's a true story.
True story about
I came walking back in with great disappointment shown across my face after the loss, but not when I opened the door and felt that chilly air hit me in the face.
I had no other look but forlorn because I had gotten some secondary market tickets, good tickets, and then I had a stomach issue where I lost 5-10 pounds.
That was awesome. I remember that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You were a mess.
I was a total mess. And you know what? I'll be honest. There was a selfish part of me that's glad that the comeback didn't come all the way.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have been there to see it.
No. And my whole life, I would have heard about how great that game was.
Well, it was
and all
great.
I would have thought about was the fact. And it was a great game. And the freaking clipping call is a joke. And then the targeting call is a joke.
Yeah.
I got it.
Lots of jokes.
But there is a small sliver of me that says, thank God I don't have to hear about that game for the next 50 years being this epic comeback and one of the great nights in our rivalry history with Clemson, because I was on the couch in between sprinting to the bathroom and then being lightheaded from sprinting to the bathroom. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking while you were talking there that, when we look back at the national championship season for Florida State from a few years back, we see a wonderful score in the Florida State-Clemson game. Clemson fans look back at the national championship season they just had, and they see nothing but a sigh of relief and an understanding that they lucked out and got an incredibly gifted call.
What better way can you say it than when we were driving back to the hotel after the game, we're playing Barry White on the radio.
We cranked it.
That's how we felt.
We were cranking Barry White because we had enough time to think about the celebrations that we were going to engage in. We weren't exhaling. That game was over midway through the first quarter in their place. I took the time to just have it etched in my mind every sort of, you mentioned forlorn, just downtrodden, devastated face that I saw in the stands that night.
Remember how loud it was when they let the balloons go?
How quickly it quieted. It went from cheers of joy, can't wait to see the celebratory win, to, my God, we're an embarrassment to football.
With the war chant showering over the embarrassment.
Who's hot? Who's cold? Once again, brought to you by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. Kawhi Leonard is really good. We'll start with him on the hot list as he led the Spurs to a 121-96 victory over the Rockets. Flip the script, as we suggested they might, because, well, they're coached by Popovich, and he ain't playing games. He gets to the point with the quickness when adjustments need to be made, and they were. That ties the series at 1. Kawhi Leonard did his part. It helps to have him doing his part when you make those adjustments. 34 points on 13 of 16 shooting. Woo! To go along with 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block, and 3 steals. So my star shoots 81% from the field and nearly comes up with a triple-double in a game we've pretty much got to win. In 8 games this postseason, by the way, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 30 points, just over 30 points a game, 6.8 rebounds per game, 4.5 assists per game, is shooting 56% from the field, 50% from beyond the three-point line, and 97% from the free throw line.
Yeah, and that's to say nothing of his defense and what he did last night to cool down Harden, who shot 3 for 17 from the field for the night.
Completely dominant. What an effort, and basically removed Harden from the game at a pretty critical juncture.
Yes, when you have to have it, he's doing it everywhere on the court.
LeBron James is even better, and every time, a testament to LeBron James' greatness is that when he does what he's doing, which these are awe-inspiring numbers, we shrug our shoulders. We take it for granted. It is most unfortunate, but that is true. People just go, oh, well, no, don't do that. He's that kind of great. And I just think that to do it so long and so consistently well is to be underappreciated. We see it all the time with the great ones in sports. We just kind of assume certain things. But LeBron James scored 39 points, had 6 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, 71% from the field in their 125-103 victory over Toronto. The Cavs haven't lost a postseason game this year. He's averaging 34.2 points, over 9 boards. He's 7.3 assists, 1.8 blocks, 2.7 steals, 56% shooting from the field, 48% from beyond the arc in the postseason. I mean, he's doing things that people have never done before, and I don't feel like it's being talked about in a way that is unique, and it is unique.
It is. He's doing what he's supposed to do, but at a level that's
just
transcendent.
Insane. But
because
he's so
nobody
efficient.
believes in the East. I think that's the thing. He makes it to the finals, and because it doesn't matter where he plays.
Yeah.
He makes it to the finals every single year, and the East usually is the underwhelming of the two conferences. So there's a watered-down feeling you get when he racks up the numbers he does, but I challenge anybody in the league to do what he does as consistently as he does it, because he approaches the game not from an I'm going to get mine standpoint.
No.
He approaches the game from a we need to, as an offense, produce as a whole standpoint.
The efficiency. It's insane what he does. And I think the unfortunate part is, too, that one of the reasons that the East is, quote-unquote, watered down, obviously when you don't see as much talent in dynamic play, that's part of it. But it's because Cleveland is so good, and they're so good because they have LeBron James. Oh, the other guys are nice. I got it. Good players. But it's LeBron James. And so we dismiss the rest of the East because they don't have LeBron James. It makes us perhaps dismiss the East too readily, where we say, well, the East is just bad. No, the rest of the East just isn't good enough to beat LeBron James every year. That's what that is.
But it's every year. There's no rival. There's no rival for him and the franchises he's played for in the East.
Boston's getting there, and it's not there yet, and they won't beat Cleveland. But that's a great story with a great coach and a storied franchise that is extremely well run, and Ainge will get them there, and then this is going to get good.
Well, that would be great, because it's been a hot minute since the East was compelling at all, because let's just say the Cavs were in the West, and then you'd have a conversation about the Houstons, the Golden States, the San Antonios, along with LeBron's team. And, yeah, he'd be the favorite to come out of there more years than not. But I don't know that the Cavs would be the favorite to come out of the West this year to run through the gauntlet of 2 rounds of difficult playoff series, whereas he's likely only going to face 1 round of a difficult playoff series, which has typically been the case. It's not like the East hasn't given him and his teams a challenge.
Right.
Indiana gave him a challenge. Boston gave him a challenge. We'll see what this year brings. But by and large, in the West, you have to go through at least 2 7-game series that are difficult in order to make it to the finals, whereas in the East, the Cavs have to go through 1 at most.
And he makes it look so easy that we dismiss it as being insignificant.
Yeah, all that said, he's still doing, superhuman things.
It's crazy. Cold. Records of the bottom 5 in the run differentials. Here you go. The Blue Jays suck to high heaven. They're 9-19, last in the American League East.
Not what we need.
9-19 is not what we need if you're a Toronto fan. Minus 23 run differential there. Kansas City, which a lot of people suggested had made their run, got their title, and were soon going to fall off a cliff. All right. The cliff falling has begun. Minus 33 in run differential, 9-17, last in the American League Central. The Padres are actually better than I thought they'd be from a record standpoint. I thought this would be a team that has a very good chance to lose 105 games. They still might, because with this run differential, it is really kind of odd that they would be within 5 games of being 500. They're 12-17, second to last in the NL West. But a minus 35 run differential will hurt your feelings.
Will Myers can only do so much.
San Francisco is 11-18, last in the National League West. That is somewhat stunning. Minus 37 in run differential for them. Ooh, not what we expected. And the Oakland Athletics, also known as the A's, are 11-16, minus 37 run differential for them, second to last in the AL West. That's Who's Hot, Who's Cold, brought to you by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. Did you think that Toronto and or San Francisco would be that bad?
No, Toronto's window is closed much, much quicker than I thought. With Mad Bum out, I mean, you could probably spot San Francisco a few more wins, and then you say it's a slow start, not a disastrous start. But, he kind of makes everything a little bit easier if you're a Giant.
Well, the guy you turn to when you're in a slump and you go, all right, well, at least we got our ace on the bump today. We can get a win and get this thing behind us.
It's kind of like when, Pence was out in recent years, and then he'd come back, and you could just feel the impact he had in the lineup, but also the culture.
Right, the way that.
Just what he does is infectious. And when you have a guy like Bumgarner, man, I mean, then all of a sudden it's, hey, can we go 500, in the other 4 days of the week?
And then we'll let him win his starts.
We'll let him win, and then we keep on rolling. That's how you build 10, 15 games over 500.
I always believe Hunter Pence scares his teammates into playing well. It's not so much that he's doing anything spectacular compared to other outfielders. It's just that he's a frightening-looking man.
I think it's got to be a little bit of guilt, too. You see this guy, and you feel like he could die on a baseball field.
And he wants to. And his eyes are behemoth and scary, and I hate them. Yeah, he's a little crazy. Give Barronell a call today and find out how you can save an awful lot of money. It's rebate time, man. Give him a ring, 850-580-4029. That's Who's Hot, Who's Cold. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
It's the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Excuse me, can I help you find something in the grocery store today?
Oh, yes, I'm looking for lemon.
Oh, well, lemons are in our produce section,
Oh,
so...
no, not lemons. Lemon. It's a new sparkling lemonade.
So lemon is a beverage?
With no artificial flavors and no artificial sweeteners.
Okay, let's check the beverage aisle.
And it only has 70 calories per can.
Oh, here it is. New lemon sparkling lemonade.
Now I'll just pour some in this glass.
That's amazing.
What, that we found the lemon sparkling lemonade?
No, that you thought to bring a glass of ice to the grocery store.
I'm like that.
Get the feeling of summertime all the time with new lemon sparkling lemonade.
New trends are in and the deals are on because this week at Goodies, it's all for mom. It's the Goodies Mother's Day sale. Hurry in for 30% off all the hottest trends like lace, embroidery, pastels, and our personal favorite, florals with a romantic twist. Score 30% off fashion accessories and handbags too. The Mother's Day sale is happening now. And remember, we have fresh deals every day with even more new looks arriving monthly. Goodies. What will new bring out in you? Goodies is part of our Stage family. Offer exclusions apply.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Bandito's Burritos, my friend?
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I got a question for you. Quick question for you. You're the golf rules guy that I go to.
Ooh, I mean, I'm pretty good at the rule game.
No. This is that. You played competitive. You played competitive golf. I did not. So you've been in tournaments. I have not. You've dealt with the things that happen between the ropes that piss golfers off, but that the average Joe probably doesn't even know about. The little subtleties. Where you stand while somebody else is putting.
Oh, yeah. Directly behind him.
So things, all these kinds of things, right? The beauty is that Tiger used to stand just close enough to where you could see him out of your peripheral vision. A lot of people complained about that.
They should just tell him to move in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
But you can do that. But they didn't.
Should have.
Anyhow, that said, slow play, and I find these things out doing Beyond the Tips with Trey Jones, the satellite golf show every Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, Sirius XM, 208-92.
Really?
Yeah. I find these things out, and sometimes I find things out that I don't realize are a current debate, are issues of the day. But our good friend Bob Herrig recently wrote about this. Bob Herrig, of course, ESPN's lead senior writer for golf and really good at what he does and still employed, thankfully.
So he made the cut.
He made the cut. I was worried about Bob. I was, and I did see what you did there. But that said, another reason to bring it up is that Jonas Blixt won on tour again. Third time, gets a 2-year exemption. That's a big damn deal. He was fighting to keep his card. Yay, Jonas. Well done. That was the team event for the Zurich Classic. But you know what else happened at the Zurich Classic last week? Yeah, this happened. It took a team event for the PGA Tour to issue its first on-course slow play penalty. Actually happened. First time it's happened in 22 years. They always threaten players. They always tell players, you're on the clock. Let's get a move on here. They actually walked out there and said, screw you. You've been penalized a stroke. And in the middle of play, you can go to hell. We're done with this. And they were very angry about it. They were Brian Campbell and Miguel Angel Carballo.
Oh, see? You
Not
threw everybody
Jimenez.
for a loop there.
Yeah. They were hit with a one-stroke penalty during the foursome part of the first round of the Zurich Classic. They were told, speed it up. They didn't. Suck it. That's how that goes. So there you go.
Now that's what the golf rule book should say.
Yeah. Speed it up. Let's go. Suck it. Yeah, that's the order of things.
That's the warning, second warning, and then the penalty.
So the players were put on the clock. You had all this different stuff going on. And people, they're talking about how to fix the problem. And it is mentioned by our friend, Mr. Herrick, if you really want to use penalty strokes as a way to speed up play, telling a group they are on the clock should serve as a warning. At that point, they know they cannot get a bad time without a penalty stroke being levied. Up in the ante, if you changed the rules and made it a 2-shot penalty after being put on the clock, that would certainly get more players' attention. So the way they do it now is, somebody gets put on the clock, and this is how rare, 22 years have gone by, where you get a second warning before they're going to do it. So it's like let's get a move on. Seriously, let's go here. And nobody ever gets a third.
Yeah.
Except for once every 22 years. This is, I'm told by Trey Jones, I'm told by other people that have played professional golf, and I know you played in high school. I'm curious, this is considered a big-time problem on the PGA Tour. I do know that. This is the thing that players complain about more than anything else is slow play. What is slow play, other than the obvious definition?
Well, slow play can be
what is the
considering
the pace you're supposed to keep?
Well, I mean, it's like I'm trying to think of something to keep an analogy to that most people would know. Okay, it's like being behind a car at a four-way stop, and the car is entering the intersection after it has the right of way, but it still kind of juts the brakes and checks again, and juts the brakes and checks, and you go, "Would you just make the turn?"
You just go right.
You're right. So it's the same kind of deal around the greens, especially, is what I ran into in high school, where kids watching too much television really are looking at every millimeter of the green, every possible break. They stand behind the hole, which I don't have a problem with. I think pretty standard.
You can stand
behind the hole, walk around
behind your ball.
But I mean, the thing is, if you want to keep play moving along, you're not breaking any rules of etiquette. If your playing partner is putting and he's getting set up for his putt, and you're walking around, it's when he's starting to address the ball or going into his preliminary. Yeah. It's like almost a free throw shooter dribbling before he takes the free throw shot. Once he starts dribbling, the
process
equivalent in golf, that's when you need to stop moving, let him go through whatever he is, be out of his line of sight, don't step in his through line or anything like that, and let him make his putt. But as he's going through his motions for warming up, you should be doing the same thing. You should be checking your break and looking at all that. And around the greens, typically, it's somebody gets behind the ball, considering the slope. Okay, then they go to the other side, then they consider there, and then they go to the
Jim
side
Furyk,
of the hole.
who I'd like to kneecap when I watch play
thing.
golf. Yes.
Well, and I know it was a tactic in my high school within the district. There were certain coaches who would put out their slowest player first because he knew it would drive the other team nuts, and it was kind of an inside thing. But then also, conversely, there are coaches, my coach was one, he would want to put the slowest player not near my teammate Zach, because my teammate Zach didn't have the composure, much like you on a weekend if we're waiting on 2 tee boxes consecutively. He knew his player didn't have the composure to handle it. So Zach would go out first because he could get the round done if he was playing with anybody with reasonable speed in an hour and a half, the 9 holes. Boom, there you go. But it's mostly around the greens. It's also stepping off of the ball. It's talking through things, walking things off. It happens more with caddies than it does when you're playing by yourself. And you don't, in college and in high school, you don't have a caddy to consult with. But it's just the long conversations and the checking, rechecking, and checking again.
But doesn't it also have to be that you're ready to hit after people leave the damn green? I mean, okay, so I'm in the middle of the fairway waiting for you to finish out your putt. When you're done, I don't need to then reassess and go through all of this stuff. Shouldn't we be able to step to the ball and hit? I think that I'm reading more and more that people complain that guys aren't ready to play.
No, what they do is that's when they start the routine once it's time for their shot. And also something that happens, not really to me, I've never seen it as much, but, a guy drops the ball down, he takes an extra practice putt or something. It happened a couple times in high school where a kid misses a putt, but then he brings the putt back, and then he putts it again, he misses, he brings it back, and you're like, oh, clear the bleeping green.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's get hit. Yeah.
It all adds up over time, and what happens is the log jam. If it happens for a hole, no big deal, but if it causes a 1 group or 2 group stack up at 1 tee box, at a par 3 or a par 5, for example, where somebody's going for it in 2, that's when rules officials and other golfers, people say, okay, enough is enough.
So for those wondering at home, there is an official definition, of course. I was just asking more about the nuances. That's why I asked Tom about how it plays itself out. But the deal is on the PGA Tour, and then we'll move on. A group is deemed out of position if they are too far behind the group ahead. So all the players in the group are put on the clock at that point. Like if you're too far behind the group that's ahead, you're not keeping pace with the group ahead of you.
They don't really care if the group behind you is not pushing up and being held back.
You got to stay with.
But you got to keep up.
Right. And depending on when you're hitting, each player is then given 40 to 60 seconds to hit a shot once you've been put on the clock. That's still a long time to hit a shot.
Oh, it's longer than you think.
And when a player exceeds that time limit, they are warned. But then they're warned again. It's only after the second warning if you violate the policy again, like you take more than 60 seconds to hit your shot. Not once, not twice. The third time you do it is when you get the penalty. And so what happened in this situation was, and a lot of the players were sympathetic towards Carbello and Campbell, because those 2 players didn't choose to play together. They weren't real teammates. They were the last 2 alternates to get into the field, so they were forced to play together. So they didn't know each other's routines or anything like that. They hadn't played together, and that caused a problem. And also, they were 2 different. The warnings were given to 2 different players on the same team, so it wasn't the same guy. And so they didn't think that was fair because this is a new format, first time they've ever done this on the tour.
To defend the players, though, a little bit, like, for example, we play on the weekends or whatever. If we can get out for Twilight this time of year, the show's done, we get 9 holes in. I don't play when we play together the way I would play in a tournament setting or in, if I was playing in high school. I'm considerably slower than I would be on the weekends, but there's a difference between being deliberate and just an ass. And there are too many kids and young pros that are just a-holes about it. They have no regard for any. You have to keep into account a regard for the people in front of you and the people behind you. That's the whole point of the game. It's not just about you.
And I'm always the world's worst when any pressure gets put on us to move. And we're not slow players in the slightest.
No,
the opposite is
fast.
true. We're moving. We're getting the hell off the course.
Well, and honestly,
trying to be out there for 6 hours.
Like Trey would get mad at me, or Butch would get mad at me. Our swing coach, Butch Bundy. When we play together, like if I miss a putt because I didn't line it up and I didn't take the extra 30 seconds, in my head, I'm writing down a par instead of a birdie or a bogey instead of a par. But in my head, I'm like, well, if you line that up, it's not that big of a deal. It's not the habit you want to build, but there's also, do you really want to do this whole song and dance like they do on the PGA Tour on Sunday?
No, we're just goofing around.
We're just having a good time.
We're just having a good time. No. Now, if you're playing for score, and we've said that before, where we're playing for score, then now all of a sudden it's like we get
through 9 holes and I shoot a 38. I'm going to slow down a little bit because now I'm going to make sure.
Trying to make a number, man.
Yeah. Like, Jeff, I'm trying to put up a number. I apologize in advance.
No, I don't.
I'm going to double check these breakers.
No, and I don't ever say anything to you anyhow. It's people in front of us that are playing slow, or the guys that are riding up as well. I'm like, come on,
Well,
man.
it's those guys that are weekend hackers that they better have $50 a hole on the line or $100 a hole on the line. The way that they go over it and then they putt, and then they're like, hey, send that back to me. Send it back to me.
Maybe they do, and I'll forgive that if they do, because then they're just good, wholesome, degenerate gamblers, which we can relate to. Final hour forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
Okay, so you're telling me that Beef O'Brady's has buy one, get one free deals? Free fish and chips!
Free boneless wing baskets!
Free chicken nachos! That's what I call an order. Buy one, get one free every Thursday in May at Beef's.
It's been a great year for high school sports in the Big Bend area. 97.9 ESPN Radio would like to thank all those schools that participated and congratulate the athletes that won our monthly honors and were automatically qualified for the end of the year Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac High School Scholar Athlete of the Year Award. Without further suspense, here are the 2017 winners. On the girls' side, the winner is Leon's Anna K. Ford. Anna K. is a double varsity sport athlete, having played volleyball and tennis all 4 years at Leon. She serves as captain of the tennis team and helped lead the Lions volleyball team to a state Final Four appearance. Anna K. Ford has a perfect 4.0 unweighted GPA, never scoring less than an A in any class throughout high school. She is a member of 2 honor societies, organized Leon's Dance Marathon, raising money for cancer research, and is a youth lector at St. Peter's Anglican Church. On the boys' side, the winner is Rickards Taven Jackson. Taven was the team captain and defensive back of a Rickards football team that reached the Class 5A regional finals. He had 76 tackles, 4 interceptions, and was named to the first team Class 5A All-State football team. Jackson maintains a 3.5 GPA while being dual enrolled both at TCC and FAMU. He has committed to play for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks in 2017. As winners of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac High School Scholar Athletes of the Year, Leon's Anna K. Ford and Rickards Taven Jackson are both awarded $2,500 scholarships to help start their college careers. These scholarships wouldn't be possible without our friends at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac, continuing to help support high school athletics throughout the Big Bend. Visit them on the corner of Capitol Circle Northeast and Miccosukee, or by visiting them online at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac.com. From the folks at Dale Jr. and us right here at 97.9 ESPN Radio, congratulations to this year's winners, Leon's Anna K. Ford and Rickards Taven Jackson.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon, what a night and what a game for Florida State softball. Kelly Barnhill's flair for the dramatic gives the Noles a 3-1 walk-off victory over the Gators, giving the Noles their 48th win of the season. It marked the third time that FSU has defeated the number one team in the country and the first since that 3-2 win against Arizona State way back in 2008. On the high school level, Connor Burke hit a 3-run bomb in the top of the 7th. Lincoln wins over Childs 10-3. They win the District 2-8A title on Wednesday night. A Hillsborough County, Florida judge called out South Florida coach Charlie Strong and one of his players. Judge Margaret Taylor said she was ashamed to be an alumnus of the school and questioned whether Strong had control of his players. In the NBA, Tony Parker has a potentially torn quad, which would require him to miss the rest of the postseason.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do, remember this. We post all 3 hours, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing because you can go back and find it at your leisure. And when you do, you'll listen with limited commercial interruption thanks to our great sponsor, CarltonDean.com. Yeah. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. The email address on Twitter, it's at @JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for all your mobile devices. And the YouTube feed is ESPN Tallahassee. Thanks for watching on YouTube as well as downloading the podcasts and or listening live, to the radio. That's a good thing. I almost called you, Tom. Almost texted you. Almost celebrated with the great call as Alex Powers gave Florida State a walk-off victory in grandiose fashion, as all walk-offs are. Deep into the night, it sails and the celebration begins. Okay, I didn't almost call you. I didn't know it happened until this morning.
For the second time in 18 tries, the Noles are victorious over the Gators.
In front of a record crowd, damn it, at Joanne Graff Field.
Now, this is true. They had to turn people away last night.
Yeah, back. Get away. We've got too many people in this joint. So Florida State's 48-3-1. Do I see that correctly? There's a tie? What are we doing? And then Florida is now 46-5. And get you some of that, Florida. Losers.
You were 46-4.
Yeah.
Which sounds a hell of a lot better
than 46-5.
Which is what you are now.
Which is not as good as 48-3. It marked the third time that Florida State has defeated the number one team in the country, and the first since a 3-2 win over Arizona State way back in 2008. You remember that fateful day?
I was there.
First time the Noles had defeated Florida when they were the number one team. So, that's good. That's wonderful. Anyhow, home run wins it for Florida State. I'm glad we won rather than lose. I didn't see it, but I did watch the replay. And I have to tell you, that young lady got all of that and celebrated rightfully in a walk-off against your rival. There was a little Quincy Neaporte to that. Not a bad flip,
okay.
But the hands went up instantly.
The Neaporte.
It was a I got you, bitch, hands to the sky. It was a beautiful thing. In fact, if she had said that, I'd watch more women's softball.
I will tell you this much. I was running some errands last night, doing some chores.
Were you tuned in?
And no. However, I did see that it was tied 1-1 in the ninth on the old Twitter. And so
did you think,
20 minutes later, I did go back and check the Twitter, and I saw that we had won. So I went back to get an update. I did not turn the television on, however.
I will tell you this, clearly, and again, I don't know anything about, I know the rules of softball, and I understand how it's played and all that good stuff, but I don't watch softball. Apparently we're not afraid to play anybody. Florida State is going to wrap up the regular season with a 3-game series against number 5 Oregon. After just playing Florida, And I did not know this either. We're 25-0 at home. That's a home winning streak of now 32 games dating back to last year. You don't come here. You don't just roll on into our diamond expecting to walk away with a victory against the ladies.
And they will send
on softball.
They will send softball participants of the College World Series all over this fine country. It does not matter when we get to the postseason.
Oh, so they don't have the problem.
They don't play the 9/11 Rick Pitino card. No, sir. Not like the men's game.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want the men to be sent? Baton Rouge. Let's take it up to Louisiana.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It would be a lot of fun.
No, I mean, I know you say it's not that it's not overwhelming when you go out there, but Palo Alto.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
you want to go play Stanford in a regional? That would be outstanding.
We have before. My friend Jeff Sprague hit a home run to beat him in Stanford and win it. I've mentioned it before on the air. And I remember.
Was it a region or was it?
It was a regional, yeah. And I remember Lee Bowen's call. I remember that was incredible.
Well, I mean, that's great that it happened in the past. I'd like it to happen so I could go.
But you're going to fly out to Palo Alto?
Oh, sure. Our budget, you know.
Yeah, we're going to do that. Cover the regional.
Hasn't Bristol expanded our budget? Isn't that what happened last week?
Stanford's not any good, by the way, this year, I don't think.
Well, they should be good enough to have us go there.
And by the way, no, it's not an impressive stadium. That's what you're referencing. I've been to it. I've run the bases.
You've run the bases.
I run the bases.
You ran the bases.
I ran the bases.
Oh my God!
So I'm still
be a
child.
Sunday afternoon.
I'm a childlike. Oh, there was no game. It was the middle of the summer.
And kids can run the bases after the game.
It was in July of 2 years ago now? Or was that last year? When was I in San Francisco?
I want to say that was 2 years ago.
Already? Sweet Jesus.
We were at the old place when you went to San Francisco, weren't you?
No. I worked
we were
for
here?
ESPN. Yeah, we were ESPN. Oh,
no,
yeah.
building. Yeah.
Might have been. I don't know. How long have we been at the new place?
Almost a year. We moved last May.
Yeah, I think it was the previous place.
Remember, it was during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and there was one night where I had a spat with somebody. I'm trying to watch the bleeping hockey game.
I remember that.
We were playing. I think we were playing the Penguins at that point. So it's probably coming up in about a week.
Okay. That said, yes, it was. There was nobody out there, and I walked onto the field, and looked around. There was nobody there. I ran the bases like a little child. The sunken diamond.
Did you institute a radio voice or anything like that? Did you
and
swing?
There's a drive by Cameron.
Did you swing the air bat?
No, I didn't do that. As a little kid, when I went, my dad took me to Ann Arbor and also Columbus, and I ran down the field there at Michigan at the Big House, and I also ran back then at Ohio State Stadium, which was a horseshoe. It's since been enclosed, but it wasn't.
Not that long ago, yeah.
Yeah, and it was wide open, and I ran down both those fields. And I was a little kid then, and I did do a radio call. I was going 100 yards. I was going to set the all-time school record, taking it to the hizzy. I made a guy miss in the hole, got to the outside, and it was off to the races. Nobody's going to catch him.
I will say, even though I had to be very professional in that moment because I was working, the first time I got to walk through the tunnel at Doak was a really, really cool moment. I internalized it all, and I had the poker face of, yes, I'm just waiting for Jimbo Fisher's post-practice availability. But inside I thought, well, this is outstanding. I'm walking through the tunnel. I have watched how many greats come through this tunnel over my lifetime of enjoying Florida State football.
Okay, well, this, for those that missed last hour, was something we got a little into in the 4 o'clock hour, which was that no matter how old you get, there is a childlike enthusiasm that follows all of us. I'm 45, and if I go into a baseball stadium, and any baseball stadium, to see any two teams, it doesn't have to be Pirates, it could be anybody, I'm giddy like a child. I'm in awe. The green grass, the air, the smells, the sounds, all of it. And that's why. It's incredible. And you can't, and it's funny, you're talking about covering the team. But when we go out there for spring games or to do interviews or anything like that, it's not the same as it was the first time you did it. But you still get a little uptick when you walk out there through that tunnel.
Well, I'm fond of telling this part of it. The first game of the year, every year in the fall, I have to go to the roof for them to play pregame fanfare and go through the beginnings of the band performance.
Which is awesome.
Because that's my favorite. That's just my favorite part. I don't know why. It just is. And so the first one, because I get,
don't you deny your love.
I get emotional. That first time in the fall, it's like another year. This is outstanding. We got it's so fleeting every year. That's why you only get 2 months of it.
Yeah, it is. It goes by too
You get
fast.
6-7 Saturdays a year where you get to experience that.
It's a beautiful thing. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call, because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts, and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now, and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait.
800-489-1397. 800-489-1397. 800-489-1397. That's 800-489-1397.
Come see the all-new Bad Boy MZ Magnum and ZT Elite zero-turn mowers at TNT Supercenter. Both models offer the strongest decks in the industry and now have a new deck dial adjustment. Simply lift the deck and set the height with the twist of a knob. Manufactured from 7-gauge fabricated welded steel with an additional 3/8-inch leading-edge reinforcement, MZ Magnum starts at $3,399 and ZT Elite pricing starts at $4,499. Financing with no money down and payments as low as $77 a month with approved credit. TNT and Bad Boy Mower, on a mission to help everybody mow with an attitude.
It's that time of year again, Tallahassee. Get ready to hit the golf course for a great cause by coming out to the 28th Annual Fred Biletnikoff Celebrity Golf Tournament, sponsored by the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill. Tee off Friday, May 19th at Highlandman Park Golf Course. Check-in and breakfast starts at 7 a.m., leading up to the big shotgun start. An award selection as well as a silent auction will be held immediately following the tournament at the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill. It's your chance to win auction items, including signed jerseys and memorabilia from national sports stars and former FSU greats. Registration fee for a team of 4 is just $380 and includes green fees, tournament gifts, lunch, and much more. All proceeds benefit the Brandon Moeller Memorial Foundation and the Biletnikoff Foundation. Help support a great cause and sign up today for the 28th Annual Fred Biletnikoff Celebrity Golf Tournament, sponsored by the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill. For more information and to register your team, call Marissa Wass at 519-2004. That's 519-2004.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You know, yesterday, around this time we were talking about it, it ended up happening exactly as we kind of thought it might. That Orioles-Red Sox thing played itself out in a really odd way, and that's one of the things that sucks about Rob Manfred and others feeling forced to intervene. Although I don't feel like the commissioner should have felt forced to intervene there. He did. He felt forced to intervene. He basically dropped the hammer and took it out of umpires' hands and said that if you hit somebody, you're done. And so what ends up happening is Xander Bogaerts gets hit with a curveball at 74 miles per hour in the hip in the second inning, and Gausman gets tossed. It's just, come on, man. Sam Holbrook was the umpire. He tosses the pitcher immediately in the moment and basically says, there's nothing I can do about it. It's what I had to do. It's what I was told to do. You and I were kind of being the purveyors of what's right and wrong with the unwritten rules of baseball on yesterday's show. We just didn't extend it out the way we should have. Part of that is the commissioner need not get involved in this. It wasn't one. I've seen beanball wars where people are getting hit left and right, and it's malicious. It's pretty obvious there's some serious hatred going on here, and guys are out to hurt people throwing pitches repeatedly. 5 and 6 people getting hit, not singular guys being thrown at and missed and one getting hit in the thigh. You know what I'm saying? Where you've seen 5 in a 3-game series. I watched 7 Pittsburgh Pirates get hit by the Rays. 7 different guys. At which point in game 3 of said series, Pittsburgh up 11-2 began to throw at Rays hitters. And it started a clear the benches for the ages. And I was there, thankfully, to see it all in its glory. But you want to talk about being able to project that was going to happen. 7 different guys got hit in a series. And you know what? I'm fairly certain not one of them was intentional. But the thought was, if you're not professional enough to be able to throw inside and you're going to hit 7 of our guys, there's going to come hell to pay on Sunday when we start purposely hitting your guys because your wild asses can't hit. But the point is, things like this happen all the time in baseball where people will police the game in their own way. They'll know what's going on. And sometimes it gets to a place where maybe you would consider the commissioner needing to say, if anybody gets here tonight, we're doing long suspensions. It's going to affect the year. You're going to have real problems here. That can happen. This isn't one of those.
No, I think this can be settled without something so formal as the commissioner calling up the umpires for the week. And I go back to, I think it was a Mets-Pirates series situation in the past where a guy named Jordany Valdespin was guilty of breaking the code in many ways, and his reputation got around the bigs to the point that, you know, if you step out again against any team at all.
Mets-Pirates, we were laughing when it happened.
Sure. And he was pissed because when he got hit, nobody stood up for him.
No.
Okay, that was clearly an example of underneath the stands between the game prior and that night's game. The captain of the Mets met with the captain of the Pirates, and they talked it out. And they decided what is going to be fair, what retribution would be sought for action X or action Y. The commissioner could just get on a conference call very quietly with Machado, Pedroia, and the 2 managers and say, guys, I'm not liking the way this is going.
It's not going to end well.
And if I don't like the way it's going, then you're not going to if things get out of hand again. So let's talk about what's fair and what's not. Nobody ever needs to know about that call, and then we move forward. Not this action that you go call up the umpires and say, 0 tolerance. My question would be, did the umpires address both managers when they were exchanging lineup cards? Did they say 0 tolerance tonight, guys?
Oh, I'm sure.
Even if it's a curveball, you know what I mean? Because that's carried out to a ridiculous end.
Well, it is, and the umpire admitted, Holbrook said afterwards, quote, just given the situation and the tension between the 2 ball clubs, all the stuff that's gone on over the last few weeks, we're all on high alert with anything. I know the ball was a curveball, but it hit him in the back. And just making a split decision at that moment right there needs to be an end to this stuff. I felt like the ejection was the right thing to do at the time, and that's what we did. Thankfully, we didn't have any more problems the rest of the game. Well, obviously, at that point, Baltimore's got a problem with it. They thought it was Bush League, said as much. They said, look, Chris Sale threw 98 behind Manny Machado, and you're going to throw me out in a second-inning curveball that hits him in the hip, not the back? You got to know better. You've got to have better discretion in the moment. You've got to recognize what is and isn't real here. And I think he's right about that. The umpire admitting that it was a curveball and he knew it was a curveball, well, if that's the case, what are you doing? If you got fooled by a pitch and all you saw was a guy turn and get hit in the back, you might miss that. But if you know it was a curveball and it hit him hip, basically, that's not how revenge happens. Revenge doesn't happen with curveballs.
Sure, and you don't even issue a warning there because then that escalates the feelings of tension in each dugout. You know, you could even, between innings, this is the beauty of baseball. You have half-inning breaks and the break at the end of the inning, and there are 2.5-minute commercial breaks. You think an umpire can walk over kind of to the on-deck circle and look out to center field and start talking to the manager? You see that kind of stuff happen all the time. Hey, listen, Manager X, we realize that was a curveball, don't we? Buck, we realize that was a curveball.
Yeah, we're all right
here? Everybody good? Everybody's okay. All right. Or you talk to the catcher. I mean, he's the ambassador of the team to the umpire as the game goes along. We all know that was a curveball, don't we? Yes, we do. You won't have a problem. Okay, let's keep playing ball.
The commissioner said he did not issue formal warnings to either of the teams, but did tell the umpires that, hey, we've got, we got to be on high alert here. I'll just go back to this. I'm always in awe of the way these things are written about and talked about. This has been going on for as long as baseball's been around, and it's not uncommon across cultures. I hear Le Batard talk about this, that in the Dominican, they don't have beanball wars and they don't have problems with guys throwing at each other. That's just simply not true. That's not true. It doesn't happen as frequently. But I would also tell you this, that when Sale threw at Machado, for the purposes of that greater discussion, Sale who's white, Machado who's Hispanic, what happens in the dugout? Sale walks into that dugout and is high-fived by whom? Mookie Betts. Everybody's on board with that. The other players, Hispanic players, African-American players, white players, everybody gets...
Was he taking it there?
Oh, Le Batard did, yeah.
That's just dumb.
Well, but the point would be...
That's trying to find something where there's nothing.
So the point would be with that, is there a difference, perhaps, in the flamboyancy in which the game is played between cultures? Without question. Bat flips, that's true of Korean-born players and Hispanic players and American, white or black-born players. I mean, it doesn't matter the color necessarily. Where you play the game growing up does. In the way that you celebrate home runs or achievements. Yes, there is a difference there, and sometimes that does lead to friction. That's not what any of this has been. This was a slide into second base where a star takes out another star, and it was deemed to be intentional. He said it wasn't. Okay, so now there's going to be retribution. That's as old as the code goes. Everybody's in agreement there.
Here's what I don't get, though, and the commissioner, by and large, has been a good commissioner. He's off to a good start, Manfred.
I like Manfred a lot.
But if you're going to call up the umpires, you may as well have the managers on the call. What's the difference? I mean, why? What does it hurt at that point to have the managers on the line saying, listen, guys, I want everybody involved to understand what's going on here. And we're on high alert. And so, therefore, even if it's not a warning, it's essentially a warning. But if you're going to tell the umpires something, why wouldn't you just tell the teams themselves?
Oh,
because then all of a sudden there's the potential for a surprise factor, for a breakdown in communication. Isn't it best that everybody in each dugout and the umpires on the field all understand the same thing?
Sure. And that's just a lack of communication. I will say this too, again, baseball writers, stop doing this. It's low-hanging fruit. It's easy for you to go here even though you like the unwritten rules. Stop lying and saying you don't. I read two different stories this morning. The first one uses the phrase, nothing about this childish beanball feud between the Red Sox and Orioles makes any sense whatsoever. Man, get the hell out of here. This person has been covering baseball for 30 years. Stop that. You know exactly what's going on here, and you like it, because I guarantee you, off the field and off the record, if you're sitting there having a beer with a guy, and you're watching a baseball game, presumably a passion of this writer's because they've been covering baseball for 30 years. All right, so there we are watching the game. If somebody did something to break an unwritten rule or make a mockery of a moment, show up a pitcher or a hitter, I guarantee you that over that beer, that writer would say, Well, going to be retaliation there, as if they understand that's the way it has to be. It's always been, and it will play out that way. There's a certain code and a certain justice that we all understand exists within baseball, and you can call it childish if you want, but it's been a part of the interwovens and the fabrics of the game, weavings of the fabrics of the game. Everybody gets it. Where you get into a debate is whether or not this situation should have escalated to where it is now after the multiple attempts to hit Manny Machado. That is debatable, and we might disagree on that. That's even within the group of people who get the unwritten rules up for debate, I think, and that's interesting. There are unwritten rules, and so we can't reference page 7 here. I don't know how many times do I get to throw at you. Your thought is you get one time.
Well,
my thought is maybe you get more than once.
Well,
but
you open the door again if one of your players gets hit in the interim. It's like, well, who are we going to hit? Well, we have to hit their best players, so, hey, that just happens to be the guy that we missed the first time. So let's give it a go again.
Well, that's what I mean. When they hit Betts,
that's different.
At that point, you're like, well.
But if Betts isn't hit, then you only have one chance. And if you don't get him, you don't get him. Unless, and here's the caveat, right?
See?
Unless it's the 6th or 7th inning and it's your worst close or it's your worst bullpen arm. Yeah, he throws 98. He missed the first time. No warnings issued. Everybody just kind of
do it again.
And then he gets rung.
I'm going.
If I'm that pitcher, that's probably something I want to do because I want to leave no stone unturned. I got to make it right.
Yeah, you got to make it right. I guess it's over with now. I think the Orioles got cheated in this whole thing. I mean, if I'm the Orioles, think about this. So most people think, if you go back and watch the Machado thing, that it was unintentional. He did not mean to take out Pedroia. So if you start with just that, and I think that's probably true, and I don't give Machado much leeway, but I don't think he meant to do that. So there's that. And more importantly, it appears that Pedroia doesn't think he meant to do it. So there's those two. Then dude gets thrown at like 57 times. But at the first time that Baltimore hits somebody with a curveball, you're the hell out of here. I mean,
the umpires can miss the moment too.
Well, I guess that's not fair. They did get Betts in the thigh at 95.
But
so, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't mention this. Kurt Suzuki the other night for the Braves pulled a me. Harvey threw a pitch inside and he swung at it and hit him in the chest / the stomach. And you know what they did? They gave him first base.
You can't.
And Harvey, I can't stand the guy, but I got to give him credit.
Yeah, you can't do that.
He looks at this guy as, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, my man swung. Yeah. How bad do you have to miss a pitch? How bad do you have to be fooled by a pitch?
Or how blind do you have to be?
Yeah.
Right here.
Just turn and get hit in the chest swinging out of baseball. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Let's go.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. the place to find your next truck in Southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens. $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Oh no! My lunch has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. What a night and what a game for Florida State softball. Kelly Barnhill's flair for the dramatic gives the Noles a 3-1 walk-off victory over the Gators, giving the Noles their 48th win of the season. It marked the 3rd time that FSU has defeated the #1 team in the country, and the first since that 3-2 win against Arizona State way back in 2008. On the high school level, Connor Burke hit a 3-run bomb in the top of the 7th. Lincoln wins over Childs 10-3. They win the District 2-8A title on Wednesday night. A Hillsborough County, Florida judge called out South Florida coach Charlie Strong and one of his players. Judge Margaret Taylor said she was ashamed to be an alumnus of the school and questioned whether Strong had control of his players. In the NBA, Tony Parker has a potentially torn quad, which would require him to miss the rest of the postseason.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I'm Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm going to say this. Before we get to probables, there are not a lot of games tonight, and what there is, a lot of them look like they're going to get rained out or have been already called. But, I'm wondering when it's all said and done, and we don't talk a lot about the NBA here. We don't ignore it in the playoffs, obviously, especially as it heats up. First round stuff, I'll largely ignore. We get into the second round, you start paying closer attention, obviously because, A, the series are more competitive, and there's a chance that the outcome is a little more unknown as compared to the first-round series. Because in the first round, even if the underdog wins a game, it makes me laugh. Our compatriots in Bristol will come in and talk about what a huge game that was, and you're like, it's not a huge game. They're going to win the series 4-1. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, and chances are if a series goes 6 or 7, it's because those two teams don't have a chance to win the title.
Right, right. So when you watch things like that, you're kind of, whatever. I can't get too excited about it, even if there's a weird trend. So when you get into the second round, you do. But let's talk about LeBron James for a second. And we have on the show today with some of the other stuff with hot and cold and things like that. But I was looking at this nugget, ESPN Stats and Info, and that's something ESPN does do really, really well. They ought to. I mean, good Lord, you got 5,000 kids interning over there. But
good pointing out the interning part of it.
Well, I mean,
these
days they're interns, yeah. But LeBron passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar last night with his 39 points, and he passed Kareem for the second most points in postseason history. Now, here we go with age difference. I saw Kareem. I watched Kareem a lot of his career. And both of them shake their head. I saw Kareem win championships with the Lakers. I saw Kareem skyhook in person, annoyingly so. I thought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the most annoying player I ever saw play the game. And it's because I hated the Lakers. It wasn't anything to do with him. Obviously, Kareem's stature off the court is incredible. On the court, it was too. And so sometimes people forget, because he's been such a social activist and a titan in that world for so long, we sometimes overlook the greatness and the consistency of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the player, throughout the entirety of his career. And that included when he was 150 years old out there hitting sky hooks for the Lakers, beating the Celtics, amongst others, in championships. It was an indefensible shot. That's what was annoying to me, was there was literally nothing you could do with him. I mean, you're not blocking a 7-footer sky hook.
Yeah, it's like
you're done dealing.
3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 with Tebow back in the day.
You couldn't stop it.
And everybody's loaded up in the box.
It doesn't
and there's
matter.
Aaron Hernandez in front of him blocking the way.
Yep, ready to kill. So it's one of those things where you look and you watch a Kareem, and when you played against him, I can't imagine playing against him, but if you actually watched as a fan of another team against them, every time he caught the ball on the block, you went, well, I mean, you weren't going to stop it. And I remember Charles Barkley one time said that the hardest player he ever had to defend was Kevin McHale. And that's another guy that a lot of people in today's youth would look at and say they only know him as a coach or as somebody in the front office.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the exec to me.
But he's 6'11" with long arms, could shoot a fadeaway. He had the up and under. He could reverse. He had a hook. You really couldn't defend him either. I mean, he was incredible. As a player, Kevin McHale was incredible. And guys like that, they seemed more pervasive in the 80s. These lanky guys with touch and the ability. I mean, even if you go back to Hakeem Olajuwon as a center, he was a center with unique skill. He wasn't a banger. I mean, he could up and under you. He could shoot. He could hit the fadeaway. He could be strong in the post. But I was thinking about it when they were talking about the numbers last night, and I remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he still had a lot left in the tank. I remember the end of his career. Now this will make you feel better. I don't remember him with the Bucks. I didn't see him.
I was going to say, I didn't remember his college days?
No, I didn't. I wasn't alive for his college days. But I do remember a lot of his pro career.
Like, you remember Magic Johnson and Larry Bird's college days.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I remember the famous game, Indiana State, Michigan State. I remember that game. I was 8. I remember that game, yeah. And I remember when they both got drafted, and I remember the entirety of the rivalry, which was incredible. Still one of the greatest things I've ever seen in sports. The only thing that can equate to Magic Bird is Borg McEnroe. Borg McEnroe was, and I remember that too, which is going back to late 70s, early 80s.
That's funny you mentioned that too, that you would go to tennis because as you were talking about rivalry, that's one of the better ones.
You would have said Sampras Agassi
or no, Federer and Nadal.
Yeah, that's a good modern day
even
rivalry.
Though one, at the time, a ship was passing the other in the night, and Nadal started to own
But it's always
Federer.
that way. Because McEnroe was the up-and-comer and Borg was on his way out.
Sure, but they gave us some 5-set thrillers. I mean, in a 2-3 year span, what did you have? Probably 4 or 5 Grand Slams that are heart-stopping.
Tennis,
4 hours of entertainment.
Tennis could do that, and always has been unique in that sense. It's like a great heavyweight fight, like we just most recently had, where if you bother to tune back in, if it grabs your attention even for a second, and you decide, I'm gonna watch this fight, you get 2 real heavyweights throwing real haymakers. There's something about the imminent danger involved in something like that it is different than middleweights. It's different than lightweights for sure. I mean, watching 2 flyweights beat the hell out of each other, it's great for technical skill. I'm serious. You can watch guys, and first of all, their fitness is insane. So watching little guys throw for, I mean, I've done a little boxing, and if you throw punches for 1 round, let alone 11 or 10 or 12, you are thoroughly beaten. I mean, you can't move afterwards. It's exhausting. So I marvel at the little guy's fitness, but there's no danger. The gnats hitting each other, and sadly, let's be honest, if you're a relatively decent-sized guy, you are and I am, you think, oh, all right, I'd just grab him. Beat that little bitch senseless. But
if you could grab him. If you could.
But if you do, they're done. Yeah. They're 105 pounds. I'll break you over my leg. Now, what I'm saying is, if you're trading blows, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. I got you. But when you see a heavyweight, like a real heavyweight, a 255-pound man with technical skills throwing punches, that's not to be toyed with. You realize it.
Well, that's like back in my day, buddy. I would watch Kevin Nash and Goldberg, and everybody wanted to see the heavyweight matches in WCW. But, those cruiserweight matches were fantastic with Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio in the bunch.
Drop kicking and jumping off the ropes. Yeah, sure.
They were acrobats, man.
But tennis does that, too. A great 5-set final with the world's best. And it is always, the one that grabs you is always going to be the champion holding on for dear life to the crown. But in tennis, he's 30.
One last round.
Well, why were we so floored by the most recent Federer championship? I mean, there the old man was, up against it. His career was as good as over. We had already begun to talk about, the eulogy of his career. We offered the good night for him. What a run.
Right.
And then that happened.
Yeah, the talking point was, how great is he that he can be over the hill and still one of the top 4 or 5 players in the world, that he's typically in the semis.
Lately, we've been talking about, that's exactly right, Tom. We had been talking about, well, that old man's still getting to the semis. Well, that's kind of dismissive. The greatest player in the history of tennis, we're applauding him getting to the semis. I see you rolled your way into the semis, man. That's kind of, we would just be like, well done, old man. God bless you. You got no shot to win this thing, but bless your heart.
I didn't get weepy when he won, but I was more emotional than I thought I would be.
Well, I know people who did, and he did.
He did. Because it meant everything to him, and it meant the crowd loves him because he's always had a good run out there
He's
in
been
Australia.
A class act is why. The other thing I'll tell you is he didn't think he was ever going to win another major. That's why he cried. Because when greatness is past you.
Damn it.
He didn't think he'd ever win another major. The most emotional I ever got watching tennis, everybody knows over the years, I'm a huge McEnroe fan. And he basically, when he took his sabbatical at the age of 25, he took his sabbatical to get married and have kids. Tatum O'Neal ruined his life. Bastard. Anyhow, so he comes back, and he's a shell of the player that he was prior, and he never got back to what he was. It still bothers me to this day. I'm still angry about it. Anyhow, he was never the player he once was. But he did get to a final, and he did get to a semi. And the semi, the last one he got to, is the one he lost to Agassi. And Agassi's a young buck and kicking ass.
The wild hair.
Yeah, and all that. And Mac got to the semis, and I remember thinking, if he could just do it one more time, I would have wept. I would have, you did it, Mac. I'd have found a way to reach out to him.
This year's been great already.
It's
with
been
Federer
incredible.
and Sergio.
Oh, no,
and Sergio got it done, and he was still Sergio while he was getting it done. He's aiming at the 72nd hole on the wrong side of the hole.
But still, he
didn't matter.
But he hit big shots.
He did. Oh, he
that's
struck
the
the ball.
Thing. That's what should we remember.
Once he got past 13. He's driving the ball all day.
Well,
all week.
Think about it this way: you go to extra holes at the Masters after you've blown your opportunity from 7 feet to win the Masters, and you pipe that ball down. That's the longest drive of the day.
Yeah,
that's no fear. And that's why we admired it more.
I can't believe the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill turned into Sergio Love Fest. There were 15, 20 people yelling for Sergio.
Because what happens, and listen, a lot of golf was that way. And I now do that golf show with Trey, and I'm learning what the insiders think and all that stuff. I am. What?
You think Kenny Knox was rooting for Sergio?
No, I don't. I do not.
Okay, because a lot of people who would fancy themselves, Ryder Cup American fans,
right?
Corner Pocket
We're
people,
rooting for him. Yeah,
that they hate Sergio, and
they began to root for him.
They did.
No, I got texts from all over the place.
A portion of Kenny Knox.
I don't think so. I don't. I can call Kenny and ask him. I don't think so. If he's listening now, I think the answer is no. But listen, a lot of people did. And a lot of people in golf who've actually been adversely affected by his mood swings and pettiness, Sergio that is, actually were rooting for him. And it's because, and I think there's a code. I think this is true in sport in general. If you're great, if there's greatness in you, first of all, we all grew up playing sports. If you're listening to this show, you likely did. You know when you see it. You know when you're around a guy. No matter how good or how hard you work, how good you could be or how hard you're going to work, there are people that are just better than you at a sport. And unless you're truly one of the transcendent players that happen to be listening to this show in the world out there, that's true of everybody listening. We know that. I was fortunate enough to play with guys that went to the NFL. I didn't know it at the time that they would go on to have their careers in the league, but I did know they were different. I did know, and everybody on our team knew. And every one of those guys, if I asked them today to talk about Tommy Carter, who played in the NFL for 9 years, or, of course, as I always name drop, William Floyd, dear friend of mine, played with him. We all knew it was different. It sounded different when they hit you. It looked different. Their bodies were different. The way they controlled their bodies was different. So I say that to say this. Everybody on that tour has watched Sergio hit that ball the way that he hits that ball. And that sounds really simplification, right? No, I'm talking about as a ball striker. We both know that sounds different than most other guys on the tour. We've watched hit the lag at the top of his swing, that whip, the sound, the things.
For a good 20 years now.
And when we've watched it, we've seen that that's different. It's better than everybody else on tour, save for 3 or 4 guys, if we're just talking about ball strikers. And so what happens when a guy's been in a position to do it, and he's had his heart ripped out, and he's choked a few times, and he got really unlucky on a putt that's online that hits an ant at the British or whatever that was. I mean, he's had some crazy things happen. And when the time passes and you begin to realize it's never going to happen for him, despite all of that wealth of talent, it is never going to happen for him. I think even people that loathe him personally think, well, that's kind of a shame. Because there have been some slappies out here that win a tournament. I mean, Rich Beam won a damn major. Rich Beam's sorry ass won a major. There are guys out there that won majors. You're like, what are we doing here? I mean, that's the only tournament the guy ever won. Never won another.
Get out of here with your Sean McKeel and Y.E. Yang.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? People are like that.
Even though Y.E. looked at Tiger
well,
right
he did.
in the eyes.
He looked him in the
said,
eyes and made the shot.
You're immortal. I know this.
Okay, but that's a great moment, so he got it. But still, you go, really? Y.E. Yang? What are we, So
it took everything Y.E. had for the rest of his life.
He was done.
He makes the putt, and he dies right there on the 72nd.
Oh, it's the 3-wood over water in a tree. That's the
I think that was on 17.
Yeah, it's a crazy shot.
This pump's right in Tiger's face.
You're like, well, what? You got that and you do your Y.E. But, yeah, so, I mean, when you see things, you're like, so that guy's going to bring home a major. Which, great, fine, good for them. It's just, what are we doing here? And so I think even those guys say that kind of greatness should be rewarded with at least a major. I mean, because it doesn't come along very often. All right, so all the way back here. LeBron James. For years, we've debated where he sits in the pantheon of greatness. And one of the things that I've said all along, and I think reasonable people do this, let's wait till he's done. If you're going to talk and assess talent, he's in the conversation. We can all agree upon that. Everybody has for a long time now. It's not a matter of, does he deserve to be in the conversation with a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, a Larry Bird, a Magic Johnson, name your great players. Anyhow, those guys all are always in the conversation. It's recognized fairly early on in their careers that those kinds of players come along every so often, but you can easily identify him. He's always been in that conversation. But from the beginning, it's been whether or not he deserved to be talked about in the same breath as the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan, if that's the agreed-upon greatest player. Some could argue Wilt Chamberlain, anyhow, or Bill Russell. But anyhow, that said, I've always said, yeah, he deserves to be in that conversation. Statistically speaking, he certainly does. Now, let's see what happens. Let's let the rest of the career play out. But when you pass, when LeBron James, 5,777 points, he had 39 last night, passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the second most points in postseason history. Kareem played for 1,000 years. He just passed him for the second most in history. He's behind only Michael Jordan, whom he's going to blow by. He only needs 211 points to pass Michael Jordan for the most points in the history of the NBA in the postseason. He'll do that now. That's going to happen. That's
going to happen in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how many years do we think he has left?
That's a great question.
Well, that's a fun debate because he's got a lot of years for being such a young man.
Sure, but he's played more games on, in a 32 or 33-year-old body, whatever his age is.
Well, because he makes the postseason and the finals every year.
Exactly, and he played in the Olympics, and
Yeah.
absolutely. That's why, when he takes these sabbaticals, and the one he took when he first got back to Cleveland, and he seemed a little bit bigger when he came back, which was curious. You can't blame him. You can't blame him because every year he's playing until June. And then he starts up, and his workouts are in September if it's not an Olympic year, and he's playing by October.
They're 6-0 in the postseason, Cleveland is right now. In those 6 games, LeBron James is averaging 34.2 points per game. If you want to remove the total number of points and get rid of, say, well, that's total points, Jeff, that's not the same as, in a 6-0 start in NBA history in a playoff, there aren't too many teams do that. Kobe Bryant, 34.3. LeBron James, 34.2. The next closest is Michael Jordan, 32.7. So he's ahead of Jordan there. He's a skosh below Kobe, and he did it way more efficiently than Kobe by far.
Because we know
it's
that
not even close.
Even compared to Michael, he's a complete player compared to those guys.
He's 19-0. LeBron James-led teams are 19-0 when they lead a series 2-0. So he's the anti-Chris Paul.
Or he's not, Oklahoma City or Golden State last year.
Right. So
blowing a 3-1 lead. I don't know if they had 2-0 leads, though.
I mean, look at this line. 15 points on the free throw line, his most in a game this year. 15 points in transition, most of any player this postseason. 4 3-pointers. His second game this postseason with 4+ makes from beyond the arc. Had 2 in last season's postseasons combined. He's playing in a way that any way you want to do it, I'm gonna light you up. We can play this any way you want to play it.
I think this is how these arguments end up dying quietly. We talk about it forever, and we're screaming and we're screaming and we're screaming about it's Jordan. No, it's LeBron. No. But let's say he does something like this for another 3 years or another 4 years. The argument just goes away. There isn't a LeBron is right there, and it's take your pick.
I'm waiting. I don't know. I think it's going to take 5-10 years after his career is over, unless he surpasses the number of championships that Jordan has, which I don't think he's going to do.
Brady surpassed Montana's
yes,
number.
Tom Brady's is the best quarterback of all time.
But I think when he got to 4, people were ready for it.
Well, also,
because
I hate
he's been
the
to
football,
so many Super Bowls.
Well, and I hate the football situation. That's not fair. There are Dan Marino is one of the. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I joke about this just to piss off.
Dan Marino should die of rotten hell.
I piss off Dolphin fans intentionally all the time.
Would you like a cookie, son?
But I watched him play. I saw every game he ever played in the NFL. I mean, in the sense that, or at least highlights of. Okay, how about that? Dan Marino passes every imaginable test there is to pass for greatness, except for winning the ring. And I got you that when you get into those fine lines trying to decipher the greatest of all time, that you eventually do have to get to championships. Not in the way that so quickly people do, but eventually you do. So, okay. And I actually think John Elway was better. And he only has 2. But Dan Marino is one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game. So you don't have to, but that's a whole.
Well, Dan Marino sucks, clearly. It's just like the draft argument. If we're talking about Dalvin Cook and the different shades of good and very good, it's no. You can't say he's good. You have to say he's either great or he sucks. That's just the end of it.
Probables? Do I dare it at the end of a 20-minute segment?
It's time for
carried away?
How you say with the pitching probables.
A lot of games were played this afternoon. Results in the can. Check it for yourself. I'm getting screamed at to shut up and get off the air. Marlins, Rays, Straley, Andreezy. Sounds like it should be just all one name. It's not. Those are the 2 guys.
Straley, Andreezy.
Nice to meet you. Orioles, Red Sox, Kendrick, TBA. And do we have any other night? Well, your game's going to get rained out. Did they? Well, we'll have to check to see if they've officially already called it. I didn't look before we started. But if they do play, it'll be Wheeler and Garcia and Angels, Mariners, Alex Mayer and Ariel Miranda. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Good work out of you, Tom. Good work out of you, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.
That golden